We are go for liftoff in T minus 30.
It's the Weiliotis podcast.
I like it.
Hello, all you beautiful people. Welcome back to the Weiliotis podcast. It's been a little bit, been a couple months, I think, but we're back here to talk about what else, movies, TV shows, music, whatever else comes to mind. Before we jump into everything, though, want to, of course, welcome my co-host, the great Mikey Wheel. How you doing, my friend?
What's going on? It's been so long since we've done this podcast that I had hair the last time we recorded.
Oh
I'm
man,
pretty
is that true?
sure. Yeah, and I think this is episode 10. I don't remember when our first episode came out, but right now I think we're looking at like an average of 10 episodes a year, which really leaves our fans kind of, waiting. It makes each episode very special. I think
True.
that-
It's not at that point. It's not even an episode a month, really. But
Nope.
we
We're
aim
getting
to
there.
be more consistent in the future. Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah, so let's talk about kind of our new stuff we're doing. So we're going to try to put out an episode once a week on Mondays or Tuesdays. We're going to attempt that, which will sometimes be audio on Monday and then YouTube on Tuesday, maybe something like that, just because buffering and timing works better for that. So that is one option. And then we're also doing a new thing as well called a Weiliotis Minute. In between episodes, we know sometimes we take a while in between episodes. Tom and I are always watching new movies, old movies, TV shows. We're doing everything like that. So, and we're talking about it to each other. So we're like, why don't we include, our audience or our fans into this? So if you look at our social media, we uploaded the little intro today, and basically in between episodes, we're going to start uploading 1 to 2 minute videos talking about a new movie that we watched, a TV series that we just finished, a finale. Like we always talk about, the best thing about this podcast is we can do whatever we want. Movies, TV shows, commercials, Oscars, Emmys. And then Tom brought up the idea too, if we can squeeze it in tonight, even talking about new albums, new music that's out. So, I mean, this podcast is expansive. It's a big universe.
Oh yeah, talking about all kinds of art, all types of media, and I'm excited for a Weiliotis Minute because I think it gives us a quick way to give our thoughts on something, and also just put more stuff out there for people, and also kind of tie it into the podcast. Chances are if we talk about a movie, we'll probably talk about it the following week on the podcast. So we'll obviously go into much more detail here on the podcast than we would in like a really quick video, but it just gives you an idea of what we thought of something.
It's a good little teaser. It's a good little teaser.
Yeah, a little teaser. And also it's fun because I used to do movie reviews pretty consistently, back in the day. It's been like 10 years now. That's kind of my start on YouTube, just doing film reviews and, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a little full circle moment almost, but yeah. So today, this is almost like another part 2 catch up video. We did one back in like February or something like that. And so we just have kind of a slate of movies, like Mike is saying, slate of movies, some TV shows, and some albums too. We want to talk about stuff we've been consuming lately, and there's quite a bit of good stuff. And before we even get into that, I just want to say, how do you feel about this year in general in regards to movies? Because it post 2020, that obviously was a shit show for movies for obvious reasons, and now there's been some kind of obviously new attempt to bring movies back, and from various forms, and streaming is a whole new beast now. So like, I don't know, what do you think of this year in general for movies?
I haven't been to the movies too much. I took about a year off. I think the nice thing about like the AMC app, I think the other apps do it as well, is that you can see what the theaters will look like before you go in there. So for me, if there's like a big premiere night, I'll see what the theater looks like, and if it's packed, I won't go. And then what I'll do is just open it up. Sometimes I just leave 20 minutes before a show if the theater's pretty empty. So for me, I think it's been a big year for horror. I mean, we'll get into catching up and all that, but I saw 5 movies in theaters within about 2 months. I re-signed up for my AMC membership, saw about 5 movies in about a month, and they were all horror. So it's a big month for horror. HBO Max is doing a lot of, in theater and on HBO. I think it's an interesting year. Disney is doing, pay $30 for Mulan or go see it in theaters. Then there's the
Yep.
whole Black Widow drama, if we're talking movie news. So there's definitely a lot. It's been an interesting year, and a lot of movies are advertising themselves as like, you gotta go back to the theater, you gotta return to the theater for this, and only go to the theater if you feel safe. Read about the theater's safety measures on the website and all of that. A lot of theaters are taking all precautions and all of that, and some movies are definitely meant to see in theaters. You also have the option to rent out a movie theater. Go with your closest friends in your little bubble, rent out a movie theater for $200, split it between you, and watch.
Which is a dope idea, because I've seen videos online of people doing that, and they like bring their Xbox, or PlayStation.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
That'd be so much fun. Like, that'd be crazy playing. I've never done that before. Like, played on like that big of a screen.
So Far Cry 5. Oh my god, on the big screen.
Ooh,
or like Super Mario 3. I'd be equally happy with either. But yeah, download the apps. I mean, I mostly use AMC because it's near me, but there's a lot to do on there.
Oh, the AMC A Plus monthly thing is cool. I started doing that back in like 2018, and then I stopped. Obviously, it was paused during the height of the pandemic, but I've had it back for a couple months now, and it's nice to have, because it's just nice knowing that 3 times a week, if I want, I can just go see any movie, and even IMAX or Dolby, which is I think where it really like adds up. Like, if you even just see like 2 or 3 IMAX movies or Dolby movies a month, that already exceeds the amount you would have normally paid per ticket. So it's definitely worth it if you're someone that goes to the movies a couple times a month.
I was going to 4D a few years back before the pandemic. I mean, they just introduced 4D, and now I'm like, I want to go back to that. But there's that, and then also drive-in movie theaters are booming right now, and it's such a smart option too. I mean, a safe, reliable way to go to the movies. See 2 movies for $20, and I mean, who doesn't love a drive-in movie theater?
Yeah,
it is. It's
so much fun.
I wish they would do them like year round. Maybe not during like January, February, but I mean, turn the heat on your car, go watch a movie outside. It'd be really nice, like, to do it kind of like in a winter wonderland. Go watch like Elf in December at a drive-in. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd be all for that. And it's actually, there's a cool place here in Vegas. There is a drive-in movie place here in Vegas. I haven't been to it, but there's a restaurant or a drive-through restaurant called Snappy Burger, and it's pretty small. Like, there is no dining room. You just literally drive through, and they have a super simple, like, almost like In-N-Out style menu, where it's just like a burger or burger combo with fries, and they have like all old candies. They have like really cool, unique sodas, and the coolest part is when you wrap around the building, you go into the parking lot, and there is like a relatively large screen, and you can watch movies drive-in style as you eat your burgers and fries, and it's awesome. It's such a unique idea, and they I get texts sent to my phone, so they'll tell me what they're playing, and like last week they were playing Pulp Fiction, and cool. They have themed weeks where they did like a 50s like biker week, so they played like Grease and Cry Baby, and like they just do all that kind of stuff, and it's like it's a unique idea, and again, just like pulling up in your car watching a movie with food is like never not fun. So I'm all for it.
I used to always sneak in drive-ins to the movies. In college, we'd go to Wendy's and line our pockets with like burgers, chicken sandwiches, French fries, and walk right on in.
Oh hell yeah!
But yeah, there's a place that's closed right around the corner from me. It's just like a decent sized building, and it's just closed. The parking lot is blocked off, and all I could think about is like, you could fit in like a good 20 or 30 cars here and just project stuff. I mean, I have a projector this big that I got from Brookstone for like $125, and you can project a whole movie on a house if you want. And I mean, the technology is so much easier and more affordable these days. I don't know why like every single town doesn't have some projection night, where you can go out and do it. I think it's becoming so much easier these days to do that kind of thing.
It is. And yeah, so easy. And obviously I think you can also easily draw a crowd with that, just have a good setup, and then post that all on social media with whatever you're playing, and like you're bound to have a community or people that actually want to engage in that and go watch movies like that.
I think the only thing holding back is probably the legal things, right? Because you think, I know that like a lot of drive-ins and movie theaters have to like pay a production company or something to get that. But I wonder if you could do that for free. Like, if you just put something on in your town, had a bunch of people come out and watch a movie. I don't think you'd have to.
Yeah, and maybe if you like did want to reap a profit. I mean, I don't know, maybe because that's something I wondered about Snappy Burger when I first went there. I was like, I'm like, are they paying these companies the right to distribute and show it? Because yeah, I don't know how much that would be. I'm sure it'd be a lot of money. And I don't know. You're right. If they didn't pay, or maybe if they only like charged for like concessions and stuff, maybe that'd work.
Yeah.
But cool idea for sure, especially in like small towns that don't have access to like a drive-in.
Yeah. If anybody's
or even have quick access to a movie theater, because even where I grew up, the Regal I used to go to a lot, that was like 10 minutes from where I lived, shut down this year. Because it was part of a mall that also got shut down and destroyed. They literally tore it down.
Oh wow.
And then the closest theater to where my parents live at this point is like solid 20 plus minutes, so it's like, it's not terrible, but it's also not like just an easy, hey, 5-10 minutes, go swing to a movie. So it's kind of something you have to plan for a little bit more. So
I grew up with a theater in my town, small town in New Hampshire, and they played one movie a week down there. And then about 25-30 minutes away, there was a bigger theater that added 3D a few years ago, probably like 10 years ago now. But I remember seeing Hugo in 3D there, which is just,
oh yeah,
I could talk about that forever. But yeah,
I have a good theater experience with that for sure.
I know. Did you see that in theaters?
I did, yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, unreal. Yeah, Tom and I have so much to talk about. Like I said, we talk to each other about stuff throughout the just text and all of that. And we just finished up our first screenplay together. We're starting our next horror screenplay, a lot less funny than the first one, and just trying to get it out and getting some friends to read it. So if you're listening and want to read a screenplay, let us know. We always like feedback. But yeah, we're just going to talk tonight about the movies you see behind us, which are pretty important to us and we can talk a lot about. And then we're going to talk about the flops that we saw, the ones that we loved, the TV shows we've been watching. There's just so much out there right now. It's crazy. I guess it's a good time.
There is a lot
good
out
time
there
to be home, just because there's so much out there and so many streaming services. I mean, you talk in your remote and you go, I want to watch Event Horizon, and they go, hey, have you tried Crackle TV? Have you tried IMDb? Watch it for free for a week. There's so many free services or freemium, or sign up for a week and then cancel. I mean, there's just so much at your fingertips these days. It's and I think even Hulu's doing a promotion now with like Hulu and Disney included for $13.99. So
yeah, so it's like, it's crazy because even if you're someone like us who kind of tries to watch a lot and goes out there and tries to take in a lot, it's like you still kind of have to be selective now, because there really is just that much stuff. And Netflix and Hulu alone put out, and I guess, yeah, include Amazon Prime in there too. They put out so many movies a year, and especially Netflix. Netflix is like the premier like kind of pump and dump like company, because they just make all these movies and like maybe promote it for like a day or two or like a week, and then just like that's it, you kind of forget about it, which kind of sucks too, because like for one thing, I feel like their model is kind of the embodiment of I guess, what is it, quantity over quality. So yes, like
definitely,
because I'm not, because I'm not saying that they don't put out good movies, they certainly do, but like I don't know, overwhelmingly like the ones I've seen are just like they seem like they're more for TV movies. They're not super cinematic. They don't really like feel they had any kind of like good message or even like good artistry behind it. It was just kind of another idea they had, and they just put money to it and wanted to see it made.
It's
or
a
whatever.
lot of YA as well, a lot of young adult TV shows and movies.
Oh, big time.
A piece of advice I'd give too is, there have been all these new movies that I think every Tuesday new movies come out. So I go on my TV, I look at the new movies of the week and see what I want to rent, what new movie do I want to check out. Then there's also a section on demand for see it now while in theaters. You can watch movies for a little more than the normal rental. Redbox is still a thing. You can rent movies for $1.99. AMC and Redbox you can stream. So there's a lot of options out there. But one thing I've definitely noticed recently is that you can watch, like, you see a new movie out and you're like, all right, I really want to watch this. And then you add it to your watch list. You're like, it's $6.99. I'm going to rent it soon. And then you're on Hulu going to catch up on some sitcom or whatever. And the movie that you favorited last week is now streaming on Hulu. I mean, there are a lot of movies that are not necessarily premiering on Hulu and Netflix, but come out as a rental option. And then a week or two later are free on those services. So be patient with movies, follow them on social media, see when they're going to be, streaming in other places. But that's definitely an option. And yeah, there's just a lot of free services out there. And Yeah, I know that there's a lot of promos too. I mean, this is a made up one, but like buy a Lunchable and get a month of Netflix.
Oh
If you
yeah,
have
yeah.
Verizon, I think you get Disney Plus for a year. So look into the benefits of your cable provider, internet provider, phone provider, because there's usually a lot of free stuff on there. I also just want to point out it's pumpkin season. Officially
Ah.
pumpkin season. I feel like I'm Casper right now.
Wait. Let me guess. Is that Pumpkinhead beer?
So
Is that what it's called?
I've been having a lot of Shipyard pumpkin. Is that Pumpkinhead Shipyard?
I think that's what
Think
I was
so.
referring to.
This
Yeah.
is Sam Adams Jack O' Lantern.
Oh, I forgot they made one.
Yeah,
That's
cinnamon
kind of cool.
cinnamon on the rim too. I don't really
Yeah.
drink I don't drink much, but during all of fall, it's definitely all about that pumpkin coffee, pumpkin pie, pumpkin beer.
I gotta get in on that. I'm not above that shit, because like people, everyone makes memes about it. But I'm like, no, it's so
Yep.
good.
We're
Pumpkin
from New
spice is so
England.
tasty.
We're from
We
New
are, yeah.
England. That's what we do.
Got a rep,
Yeah.
like hell yeah. I love yeah, the shipyards are good. I used to drink a lot of those.
Yeah.
Super tasty. And they make, no, it's weird. I saw it last time I went on vacation, and I just went to a grocery store to grab some stuff, and they actually had the Shipyard Pumpkinhead like seltzer, which I thought was really, yeah. I'm like, a pumpkin seltzer? I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, it could be good or not. I don't know.
It's so interesting. Like the beer that we bought in college, the shitty beer that you bought for like 40 cans for $9.99. Now I'll have these like summer breeze seltzer flavors.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like
even Natty, dude.
Natty
like it.
Ice. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so
Budweiser
funny.
is dipping into the strawberryta, like
Oh
banana
my God,
fun drinks, and you're just like, what? Like this is the weird. It's very very weird. But
I mean, they're spreading it far and wide, and I don't blame them
yeah,
because
it's
like
a big avenue. Yeah.
yeah, and I honestly like those seltzers are pretty good. I really like the Coronas. Those are probably my favorite that I've
I
tried.
haven't tried those.
And just the Corona seltzers, not like the other like variations they've made. Just the regular seltzers, and even the Bud Light seltzers are pretty good too. And they're kind of, I guess they're kind of all similar. They're just a certain pick your flavors, and they just taste like seltzer water, but tasty, easy way to get a little tipsy. So.
And Topo Chico is like my favorite drink in the world. Like if I were rich, I'd have a bubbler of Topo Chico. And then I went out and bought their seltzer and felt nothing. It was probably like good, but it was alcoholic. Yeah, hard seltzer Topo Chico. And I'm like, their non-alcoholic stuff is so much better. So I mean,
there's a definitive like difference in its quality.
oh
you
yeah,
think?
yeah. I like the regular one more. I could drink that. Like that could be my water intake every day. Just straight Topo Chico.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
If they ever want to sponsor us on this podcast, I'll wear hats, shirts. I'll put
That'd be good.
the bubbler in the background of my room.
I know, we'll just be talking and being like, anyway, so, and just raise the bottle up, show everybody.
We'll say the name at least 100 times in each episode.
Exactly, yeah. Just mid conversation, just drop the name.
We'll be like, yeah, in Suicide Squad, who is the Topo Chico who starred in that movie? Was that Idris Elba, or is that?
That's good.
But yeah,
But
there's. I mean, this year has been so exciting for movies. Like I said, the 5 I saw in theaters. First off, the 5 movies I saw to come back. So the first one in over a year, and movies are like my favorite things to do. They make me so happy, and I go alone. I love going alone.
As do I.
Go alone. I just, you wait for your friends, you get older, they get busy, you want to see a movie, it leaves theaters, you didn't get a seat in theaters, you have to wait now 4 days for it to come out on streaming. It's not like the old days, but go see movies by yourself. It's the best. You're not going to talk to people anyway. But I saw the new Saw movie. That was the first movie I saw coming back to theaters. Spiral, a book from Saw, which was Chris Rock, Samuel L. Jackson. And I don't think I have a lot to say about each of these. This is probably the one I have the most to say about. Chris Rock made a movie in like 2013. In it, he plays a filmmaker, and he goes to see the premiere of his movie just to see what the line is like, how many people are buying tickets.
Is that top 5?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
And next to it is a Tyler Perry movie called like Boo, a Tyler Perry Medea Halloween. And everybody's lined up for that. Nobody's lined up for his movie. At that time, Tyler Perry didn't have a Halloween franchise, didn't have the Boo movies in his Rolodex at that point. Chris Rock was just kind of parodying Tyler Perry in his movies. Then Tyler Perry's studio decided, why not, as a big FU, make that movie, and we're going to make a ton of money off of it. So Chris Rock was at a wedding a few years ago for, I think, Lionsgate, who also produces the Saw movies and the Medea movies. and he went up to the CEO and joking around was like, hey, without me, you guys never would have made that hundreds of millions of dollars off of Medea. You guys owe me some of that cash. Ha ha, joke, joke. And then he was like, I love the Saw movies. If I were to make another one, here's what I would do. And the person in charge called him like a week later, and Chris Rock came in and pitched it, and he's now like the new voice of Saw. I remember when I first saw that, I was excited and nervous. It's a continuation of Jigsaw, continuation of the movies. It's a little more thriller than horror, but it ties in. There's a fantastic ending. Definitely recommend. So I saw that. And the next one was A Quiet Place 2. Definitely recommend it. John Krasinski directed. Kind of goes over the beginning and then catches up to where they left off in the first one. Cillian Murphy's in it. You really get to see the monsters up close. Saw the new Purge movie. It was a little like too real and a little hard to watch, but really, really good. Just very dark, very heavy. Then what were the other two horror movies? Old, which we'll be getting to. And then I feel like there was one more that I saw at AMC. I'm going to look on my app to see.
I'm trying to think.
Escape Room. I saw Escape Room 2.
Oh, yeah.
Which are kind of like kid versions of Saw, but not really. They're still R-rated. People still die. They're still pretty violent. And the new one's good. The new one takes place, pretty much right after the first one. I really, really enjoyed the whole entire movie. There's a lot of twists and turns from the first one. So it's another thing I'd recommend. But yeah, Spiral, Quiet Place, Forever, Purge, Escape Room, Old, and Free Guy. So that's been my year in movies, and we'll get into Old, we'll get into Free Guy. But what was your return to the theater? What was the first thing you saw? What was the most recent?
Well, I guess return to theaters. I'm trying to remember because honestly, last year I did see Tenet a couple times in theaters. I was obviously as selective as you could be last year. I saw Tenet, and then I saw this movie Writing on the Walls, I think it's called, with I forget everyone who's in that movie.
Can't believe you went to the theaters for that.
Well, it's funny because my mom was visiting home, and she's like, she was kind of interested in seeing a movie, and we saw that, and we were the only people in the theater naturally, so it was like we felt fine about it. We weren't scared or anything. And then but I guess my real return to movies was probably Nobody, the Bob Odenkirk action vehicle. That one was great. I really want to go see it again because it's just such a funny role for him to be playing this like action star and actually sell it. Like it actually, because he actually did a lot of his own stunts, and own choreography. There's behind the scenes you can watch of that. And it's kind of like a simple, I don't know, it's kind of like a simple revenge story in a way, or not so maybe not so much revenge, that, and also his character kind of coming to terms with who he once was, because he's kind of, suppressed this hitman identity he once was, and trying to be this family man, but now the hitman part of himself is coming back. So it's super good. It's really funny. Bob Odenkirk, I think, is honestly one of the greatest actors we have today. Like he's amazing in Better Call Saul. Super nuanced actor. He can take on a lot of different roles, and his comedic side really plays into a lot of that too.
He found Tim and Eric. He found Tim and Eric. So I'm always gonna have respect and love for him. Always.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
also shout out to him, and I pray he's doing better now, because he did. Unfortunately, I'm sure many people listening have heard that he had some complications, somewhat of a small heart attack when he was filming Better Call Saul. I think like a month ago at this point. But he's already obviously he's communicated. He said he's doing better. So shout out to him, and because he's awesome. So that was like the first movie I really saw like this year coming back, like all right, full force. Like all right, let's see something new. And I mean, overall, like there are quite a good hit, like good kind of pick of movies I've seen. More recently, there's like Suicide Squad, which we'll get into that.
Did you see that in
Candyman.
Theaters?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
Oh, you did? Oh, good. I watched it on HBO. I wanted to go back in theaters. I told myself if I liked it enough, I'd go back into theaters, and I haven't seen it in theaters yet. Yeah, Candyman, I'm excited to hear about. I mean, Jordan Peele only puts out one movie every couple years that he directs, writes, produces. But Monkey Paw Productions is behind everything ever in the past 10 years. His new movie got announced as well with
it's a Daniel Kaluuya in it, and
yep, and
Steven Yeun,
yep,
from The Walking Dead, and then I think, oh man, I forget her name. Who's in Us?
Oh, Napita. Is it Napita?
Yeah, yeah, that's her name.
Yeah.
I always forget her name. But yeah,
Lupita Nyong'o.
yeah, it's something like that. I'm
Yeah,
so bad. I
but
can't even remember, but
the
she's
poster
great.
for it, I have no idea what it is or what it's about or anything, but I want to frame the poster and hang it up. I mean, I think it's called like it's one word. It's called you or uh-oh or whoops or it's called something. And the poster is just this very, very small town that looks like up on a mountain, and the town's all lit up and it looks like it's in, some catastrophic event or something.
Oh, it's Nope.
Nope.
Just called Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, which I like that.
And I have no idea what it's about, but I just know that it's gonna be fantastic.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it because us obviously like was well not Get Out, sorry. Get Out was like such a big deal for him and obviously like super receptive, and I really like Get Out, and Us got to see that again. I only saw it once and I liked it enough, but
I bought it
wasn't-
recently. It's the first
wasn't-
DVD I've
oh,
bought
nice.
in years. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I wasn't like super blown away by it, but I'll definitely check it out. Give it a rewatch.
You gotta watch it again. I think the problem is it's that sophomore slump where like Us could have been the best movie ever made, and everybody would have gone, it wasn't Get Out. It wasn't Get Out. That was the only critique I heard of Us, was it wasn't Get Out. And it was like, well, yeah, it's
Well,
not a
my biggest critique
continuation.
was honestly in its execution, like especially with the idea of this like underground world, where I feel like by the end of it, they're kind of going in like almost this mirror world, and they're kind of, I think they honestly explain too much. Like they give too much detail about like the process of like how they interact with people, how they come up, and how they plan this whole like ploy to like take over the world essentially. And I wish there was a little bit more left to the imagination, but again, I was intrigued. It was beautiful to look at. Lupita's amazing in it.
The ending is great.
Winston Duke's great in it too. I definitely got to see it again for sure.
Yeah, the twist is great. The ending is great. It's also very Sixth Sense in the style of like, if you rewatch The Sixth Sense, as you know, there's so much red hidden throughout the movie. The red doorknob, all of that. There's the scene where Bruce Willis is talking to Cole and his mother, and it looks like the mother is interacting with Bruce Willis, but she's not. There's the basement, which is locked, but Bruce Willis keeps going down there and coming back up again. And like when you rewatch The Sixth Sense, every single sign in each scene points to Bruce Willis being dead the whole time. And like there's all of that hidden part to it. That is exactly how Us played out. I mean, the opening of Us is the Hands Across America, which is the foreshadowing, because that's how all of the dwellers come up and they all hold hands across America. But not only that, I just really loved Chud on the opening of the movie. There's a TV playing with the Hands Across America commercial, and there's VHSs stacked, and Chud is one of them, which is cannibal hibernistic underground dwellers.
I still gotta see that movie. I
think that's what it says for.
I will say I'm a big fan when you see like movie collections or of sorts in movies, and you can tell it's like director's pick. Like they just wanted to like put their movies in there because a good example of that? Gaspar Noir. He made what's the last movie he made? It was a dance movie. Fantastic. And
You're thinking of Step Up to the Streets.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh man, Step Up. But yeah, there's a lot of examples of that I think of where like directors just kind of put like you'll just see like some VHS tapes or something, and it's just kind of funny. It's like wink wink, like this is what I like. These are influences or whatever. But yeah, other movies I guess. Some things I'm just remembering now. Army of the Dead. Zack Snyder Netflix release. That was a big one. And
there's a prequel already coming out now too. Oh, I just want to add one thing too, is I love when movies reference other movies. So you go to see like a movie and they reference Forrest Gump, and you go, oh, Forrest Gump is in the same universe as this movie, or acknowledges it. I like that. One of my favorite things was, and I've never even seen the original Tron. I know that's bad. I saw the new Tron when it came out with Olivia Wilde, the Disney movie. Saw it probably in IMAX 3D. And there's a scene in the movie, Sam's all grown up now, and in his bedroom is a Tron poster, and it's the poster that was for the original Tron movie. So I like how they did that. They used the poster for the original as the poster in Sam's bedroom all grown up. So I thought that was kind of cool to kind of reference back and pay homage to it that way. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and that just reminded me too that technically I guess Bernie Sanders is in the DCEU because like Birds of Prey, there's a scene, I don't remember exactly, I don't remember much from that movie, but there's a scene when like Harley Quinn literally is like, I would have voted for him or something, and like, but like you see his name on screen for a second. I'm like, all right, so like
Really?
like Harley Quinn's aware of Bernie Sanders, so I guess he exists in that universe now.
Wow. You could do a
Yeah.
lot with that. Yeah, Bernie Sanders, like, she's wearing his mittens, his famous mittens. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny. Army of the Dead, I was very, very excited for. And I think I loved it. It was kitschy. It was, I think, so obviously, if this is your first time listening to our podcast, we do spoil everything. We're not just here to talk about the tip of the iceberg of movies. Eventually, we'll get to the point where you can fast forward through the episodes or jump past spoilers, or we'll note the timings. We'll get there eventually. But yeah, we're here to talk movies and we talk spoilers. So one thing that I loved about the movie is that almost every single person dies in Army of the Dead, which I loved. I mean, you're watching a bunch of humans go into a post-apocalyptic zombie run Vegas, and these zombies have a conscience. They team up, and they're smart, and they run. I mean, these are like the World War Z zombies, where you go, how did anybody survive World War Z? They had the smarts of climbing over each other, building walls, building ladders.
Yeah, like they
out of
form
one
like their
another.
own mountain basically.
Yeah.
Like,
So
yeah.
So you watch the movie and you go, I'm gonna be so pissed if half the cast makes it, and everybody but one person dies in the movie, and that's my only problem with the movie. So my only problem with I'm happy everybody died, because that was the kind of movie it should have been, realistically. I'm not happy because in the movie, Dave Bautista and his daughter go back to save the mom in the other building. They didn't need to do that. So they have Tig Notaro flying, Dave Bautista, and the daughter. And this is why they didn't have to do it. They go and they save her. They fly out of Vegas, I think, as it's blowing up. And then the helicopter crashes. Bautista dies. Tig Notaro dies. The mom dies. And Bautista's daughter is the only one who survives. But because they went back for her, they let the main zombie onto the helicopter, which wound up killing Dave Bautista. So the teacher still wound up dying, which meant Dave Bautista's death never needed to happen.
Right.
If they
right.
never saved the teacher, Bautista would have been alive. Tig Notaro would have landed safely. But because they went back for her and she still died, that happened, which I was like a little... I love Garrett Dillahunt. He was great in Fear the Walking Dead. One of my favorite character actors, Last House on the Left, Raising Hope. He's a fantastic actor. And he was in it. It was weird seeing him play the bad guy. He was the one who was just there for the Queen's head for research. I like when you find out his motive. The movie's just so good, so violent, and just, it was kitschy, right? It was supposed to be.
Yeah, no, I think so. But no, like I kind of agree with a lot of your points there. And I just want to say too that there are certain like scenes that are disappointing, and not disappointing as in like it like fell flat film and its filmmaking qualities, but more like you're like just so sad that something happened. Like there's like a scene when I think already at this point like maybe like half the main crew has been killed off or something, and then Batista's about to like go out and he's about to go out and fight everybody to get back to the helicopter. And what's I forget her name in it, but I'm looking at the actress's name right now. Ana de la Reguera. She was kind of like his friend, like his good friend in it. And she's like, no, I'm going with you. Like, we're gonna get out. Like, I'm gonna help you. And you're like, oh, here we go. Like, they're gonna team up. They're gonna be good. And the elevator opens. The main like leader zombie's there, and he just twists her head in the opposite direction. And like you see like her bone like pop out of her neck, and instant kill. And it was like, it's a great moment because it just like subverts your expectations a lot. But like it's disappointing because you're like, I was like, she's such a cool character in it, and like I was like, right, they build it up like you're ready to just see them kick ass, and then she just dies.
Is that the same woman who gets speared to the building?
No,
because there was that death toward the end too, which was very sudden. Yeah,
that was upsetting too. That's actually a better word to use. Like it was just upsetting. Like you're like, oh, like no. They're all dying off.
The zombie baby was very strange. I mean, it was very... How long was she pregnant for? Did it speed up? I mean, there was a lot to it. I love the opening. I like the actor in the opening. I forget his name, but I like the actor who's the last army guy to get killed. And I mean, I love the opening because you see everything happen. You see it all like unfold, which I really like. And they don't explain a ton, but they do, and that's. I mean, I guess I like that, like how big the beast was that infected everybody, and how some people come back, some people die, kind of like other zombies and vampires. Some of them come back, and then some of them just die off. And I mean, there was so much. What's the word? Um, there's just so many traitors in the movie. Everybody was
Yes.
there for their
Yeah,
own
everyone had their own
motive, and
agenda. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the main guy was paying them to go in and get the money from his vault, even though he had already gotten all the insurance, so he still had the money. And then you're like, he's getting double the money, and then you find out that none of it was about the money; it was all about the zombie head. And then who survives at the very end? Is it the picklock guy? No, he
Oh,
saves the other
no.
guy. He saves the other guy,
Um,
shutting him in the vault.
yeah, I'm trying to remember his name, but what the fuck was his name? I forget. I forget everyone's name in that movie. But yeah, one guy survived because he gets locked in the vault, and which means he survived the nuclear blast.
Yep.
So he comes out, whoever knows how many days, weeks later, or whatever. But yeah, that ending is cool too because you
On the
see him get
airplane.
yeah, and then he's right when they land in Mexico City. You know, he's like, "Oh fuck!" Like, and just laughs, and it just cuts it off. Awesome, you know, cut the
Yeah.
black, cut the credits.
Yeah,
So.
that was a perfect ending. I loved it, and I haven't watched the trailer, but there's already a prequel that is out or coming out. That's about the guy who unlocks the vault. There's like a thriller kind of movie coming out that's like more of just like a background of that character. So it opens up a lot to the universe. I mean, it's a very
Which is cool. I mean, because
yeah.
I think he sets up a unique and fun world, and that's
There's
the
a
thing. The movie just felt like kind of his playground. It felt like Zack Snyder's playground.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like he's just doing what he wants to do. Which, similarly, I feel like the same way about the Suicide Squad with James Gunn. I feel like he also did the same thing. Which
Let's
is
get
another
into
movie.
it. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Yeah, because that's
I
another one where
I feel like we both have good things to say.
Oh yeah, we do. It's funny because like I've been hyped for this movie for a while, and it's funny because the original or the first Suicide Squad back in 2016, you know, was kind of a disaster, pretty bad to say the least. I don't know if I'd ever want to see it again because like I feel like when I first saw it, I kind of liked it at first, and then just the more I thought about it, I was like, no, this is pretty horrible. Whether it's kind of the atrocious editing or you know, because I mean, well, for one thing, the edit alone, I think, took away from David Ayer's vision, which I don't know how good his if he had total control, I don't know how good or different it would be.
He says he didn't, and he wants to make his own Snyder director's cut, of course. I feel like
I think now he won't, but just because I think he's given blessing to James Gunn's cut, but and actually he included him in the special thanks at the end of Suicide Squad. That my friend pointed that out. He was in there.
Oh, cool. I think
yes.
Well,
so there's like
I feel like
yeah.
I was gonna say something we need to do on this podcast maybe is give backgrounds to what the movies are, because of course you and I watch every movie and know of every movie. We might have some listeners that don't know too much about what we're talking about. So let's give a brief recap on what Suicide Squad is and why the first movie was so terrible.
Okay. I mean, so all I know is that like basically Suicide Squad the idea of it is utilizing villains to save the world in a sense, or like to do some task.
It's kind of anti-hero, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I guess it kind of is because you're following all these, you know, and obviously like for me, there's plenty of characters in the movie who I know very little of.
Yeah,
like didn't read them a lot growing up in comics, or just didn't know who they were.
I don't follow the comics. I don't know who was made up for the movie, who appeared in like a 1930 issue of a comic, but
Polka Dot Man, for instance. Like, you know, he's an old, seldom used villain, but like they're but the original Suicide Squad. So like, I think that was a big deal because in 2016, I don't think obviously like there really weren't like any movies like that where it's like this is an all villain based movie where we're going to see just the villains take on a task and, you know, again save the world from whatever. But
And
And there was so much hype for the original too.
the
So
world
much
was
hype.
waiting for a good DC movie. I mean, besides the first Wonder Woman, DC has not really put out a lot of great stuff. I enjoyed Aquaman. They're filming the second one now. But we all were, the whole world was excited. They were excited for Jared Leto, who, I mean, sets the record for the longest tour a band has ever done with this band, 30 Seconds to Mars, then comes back and wins a bunch of Oscars and awards for Dallas Buyers Club. Everybody wanted to see him as the Joker, and I don't think it was wrong. I don't think it was bad. I just think he played the kind of green Joker from the comics and the older Batman, which people are not used to. I think everybody wants to see the Heath Ledger kind of Joker still. But yeah, Suicide Squad is basically all of the villains in DC. So Batman, all of, his villains. You have the Joker, Harley Quinn. You have all of these people who are their villains. And
Yeah,
basically,
really. Same with Superman. Like every villain in the
Yeah,
DCU. It's
yeah.
not. Yes. Oh, it's
and that's
all of them.
Idris Elba's character. It's not Bloodshot, is it?
Bloodsport.
Bloodsport. So he was played by Will Smith in the first movie, and basically, like, that was one of my favorite scenes in the trailer for the Suicide Squad. Is like, so basically,
Wait, actually, aren't they? I thought they were two different characters. I think, right? Because I'm trying to remember. It's because Will Smith's character, he's dead shot. I think dead shot I think there are two different people. I believe.
Interesting, because I remember
Yeah,
Will Smith not coming back, and I thought that they were just replacing him. But the premise of it is who's the woman who organizes everything? What's her name in real life?
Amanda Wallace, who's played by Viola Davis.
Yeah, so Viola
perfectly too in this. I thought she was so good in the new one.
Yeah, so Viola Davis basically comes to all these people and says, "Hey, you're all in prison for 100 years. I'll knock off 10 years if you help us take down somebody who's even more bad and evil than you." And she gets these people together, kind of convinces them. She finds out what their weaknesses are. Idris Elba has a daughter, and she's like, I'll help your daughter if you can do this. But I love that scene in the trailer where she's giving the tour of all of the people who are going to be going in and doing the mission, and you see Idris Elba's character, and she says he's in here because he put Superman in a coma with a krypton bullet or something, kryptonite bullet. So I really like that, how you that's not something we've ever seen in the movies. Maybe that's from the comics, but I like that kind of like subtle universe thing where you're like, oh, this is how this person's here. The first one was good because it went through all of Harley Quinn's backstory, working at Arkham to falling in love with the Joker, falling into the goo, whatever it was. But well
Yeah,
basically
I guess though, like the biggest problem, like I said, with the first one was the editing, which was like a full takeover because the trailers were so successful. People loved the trailers, as did I. I thought, oh my god, this looks fun. This looks poppy, chaotic. It looks awesome. But I believe they hired they were so satisfied with the trailer and how receptive it was that they actually hired the trailer editors to edit the movie to be more like the trailer, which I think is stupid. And obviously it's a really like clunky, chaotic, and they spend like the first 40 minutes of that movie just introducing characters, which like I get it because, not everyone knows who the Suicide Squad is or even all these villains individually. But like I said, I think you don't need to spend that much time doing that. So, the first one just not super well written. Like again, editing is pretty atrocious.
the CGI was, so Cara
CGI is pretty
Delevingne.
bad. Yeah.
Cara Delevingne is a model turned actress, not a bad actress, but they play. She's a witch in this. She's an evil witch, and just the CGI. It was,
And she's just not interesting. She's just another, run of the mill. Like I'm gonna destroy the world.
Yep.
Not interesting at all. Like not very fun. And so yeah, just not that great of a movie.
And the Joker's in like 6 minutes of the whole movie. He got cut from the whole movie. I mean,
Well, that's the thing too, because like people really, like criticized him a lot for that performance, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think it was great by any means, but I think it was fun enough, and he kind of gave it his own thing. It was kind of like he had this like gangsterdom almost to it, like the swagger that you didn't see with a lot of other Jokers. So I'm like, at least he tried something new with it. But you're right, they didn't clearly they cut too much out, so we didn't get enough of it to really, in my opinion, to really like judge it properly.
not that there have been a lot of Jokers in between, but Joaquin Phoenix Joker in Todd Phillips's movie is pretty much the first Joker that the world has seen since Heath Ledger, where they didn't say, "Oh, it wasn't Heath Ledger. I wish it were Heath Ledger." You know, it was the first time that everybody was like, "Okay, like this is a new Joker. I can, appreciate." And I mean, man, don't watch that movie if you're feeling sad. That movie is so
Oh, I
heavy.
know.
So
Puts you in
heavy.
much more, dour
Yeah.
mood. But yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, this new one, like you were saying with Amanda Wallace's character and everything, like they're, it's a unique idea, and I think it was the right move to have someone like James Gunn make this, because I think where the first one fails and all the aspects I mentioned are like, it's like a 180 here. Like it doesn't waste all this time trying to introduce every single character individually. It's able to more elegantly and like in a more fun way show who these people are through their actions, through their powers, through everything like that. I think that the choices of music are a lot better. The music the needle drops in a lot of scenes, especially the introductory song that plays over the credits, and then it's just a lot more like concise and consistent and gory, very gory. This movie is like super violent, which I love.
It's almost Eli Roth style, where it's I mean, obviously it's not horror, but it's almost Eli Roth, where it's so violent and so bloody that they have to add jokes and humor into it to kind of bring you back down again, to kind of like level it out. I mean, it's a very gory movie. James Gunn, got pretty much complete creative control in this movie and said, "You know what? I'm going to kill pretty much everybody." And I don't think, if you saw this coming and you admit that, I don't believe you. Pretty much everybody dies in the first 10 minutes of the movie. I mean, you have all these people that you're psyched up to for months and months and years. You go, Pete Davidson and Flula and all these different people. You go, I'm so excited. Michael Rooker is back again. Who's in all of James Gunn movies. You get so excited in the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie, the whole entire first operation all dies on the beach because of Pete Davidson's character. And then the actual movie, you're just following 4 or 5 people, the ones you see on Tom's screen. So you have Polka Dot Man, who was experimented on by his mother, and twice a day his body fills up with polka dots and he has to shoot them out. And the whole entire movie, he has PTSD from his mom experimenting on him. So he sees his mom in everybody. He sees his mom in the shark. He sees his mom in the giant starfish.
Yeah, that whole running thing was kind of brilliant, honestly.
Because she just looks like an old wench kind of person. And then you have Idris Elba. You have the shark, who is played by Sylvester Stallone, who James Gunn was like scared of asking to play the character. And I guess Stallone was really on board for it. A couple words he like couldn't say. I watched a couple of interviews that were very funny about how like they couldn't get him to say a couple words right. Margot Robbie. I didn't care much for what's her name? Ratcatcher?
Ratcatcher, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was very the Nutcracker.
Well, if anything, she had the flashbacks with what's his name?
Taika Waititi.
Waititi, yeah. Like, I mean, so yeah, obviously like there is they do delve into some characters, and they gave a little more attention to her backstory. I thought she was cute. She was like funny enough, like not like my favorite character by any means, but
yeah.
She was fun. I kind of liked her little camaraderie, her little like friendship she had with Bloodsport, with Idris Elba's character.
Yep.
Even if it is kind of like typical, like he's obviously more hardened. He's like, well, actually, it's funny. Actually, that's kind of a more unique note, because he is obviously this like battle hardened villain, yet he's incredibly like skittish and afraid of rats. Mm-hmm. So like
everybody has a fear. Everybody has a weakness.
Yeah, so he kind of gets over that fear at the end. So that was kind of a cool little like, again, little kind of 180 for his character. And then but yeah, no, like they're the main. Actually, before I even get into that, yeah, I kind of want to go back to the intro, because the introductory scene is funny as hell, and it's also just really gory, really action packed, because in all the trailers we see Weasel and what's his name, TDK, Nathan Fillion's character, and we see like when we see this big group of characters and they're walking away from the American flag, and like they're making it seem like, oh, like this is like maybe another, like this is the Suicide Squad, or maybe it's like a different set of a different task force or something that's going to like fight alongside the main guys, being John Cena and Idris Elba. But no, like you said, they die off like incredibly fast.
I forgot
And
Nathan Fillion was even in the movie. That's how quickly these
oh, he
big
died so
name
fast. Yeah,
actors die. I mean, it's just yeah. The
and
opening of
he
the movie
yeah.
is them on the helicopter. They're about to land on the beach and storm the operation. And then Pete Davidson goes up to the beach and is like, "Hey, I'm ratting all you guys out. I'm here to make a deal." I think he gets his head blown up, and then everybody except
Oh yeah.
for so you have Michael Roker's character who turns away and goes to swim back to the boat, and Viola Davis's character plants chips in everybody's head, and if you bail on the mission, she'll blow up the chip and kill you. So she kills Michael Roker that way, and then at the end of the movie, one of the two post-credit scenes is Weasel still alive, which was very random. And the other post-credit scene was what was it? Peacemaker still alive as well, right? He wakes up from his coma or something.
Yeah, so or he's still in the coma, but it shows that he is still conscious. He's still alive, and which I believe they're actually next year, early next year, they're actually gonna be putting out his TV show. There's gonna be a Peacemaker TV show on HBO, I believe, which is kind of cool because his character. I thought this was like one of John Cena's, if not his like funniest and most entertaining performances. I think he just fit this character really well, really funny. And obviously, like he's just a big guy, so he can sell this character with his physicality pretty easily.
You have to watch Vacation Friends on Hulu. So when we were talking about Netflix being all of this Oscar nominated movie platform and has all these big movies and big premieres, one of the biggest Hulu movies of all time premiere wise is Vacation Friends, and it's Little Rel Howery. He plays the kind of conservative banker type who goes on vacation with his girlfriend or fiance, and then he runs into John Cena and his girlfriend, and they just are this very loose, kind of trashy couple who takes them for an adventurous long weekend and loosens them up. And the movie's very funny. It's already, they're already working on a sequel to it. It did very good as a premiere. So highly recommended if you're looking for a good comedy where it's the first movie where John Cena stars in it, I'd say. Because he was one of the leads in this. I don't know where he'd show up on the list exactly, but I'd say Cena would be second to Little Rel Howery in Vacation Friends.
Okay, yeah, I'm interested for sure.
Very funny, very just over the top and just gross and just it's a fun movie,
but
frat boy kind of movie, I'd say. Just
yeah.
But
yeah, I do really like him in this, as well as Idris Elba. I'm kind of a fanboy of Idris Elba, honestly. But yeah, no, that intro scene is great, and I thought one of the funniest deaths was Nathan Fillion dying because he's the detachable kid or whatever, so he can really, his only power is just he can detach his arms and they can float, and you can have him go other places. And there's a scene when all the other army is just shooting his arms, and you just see him in the background flailing his limbless body, and he's like, "I'm taking out my arms," and as they're 50 feet away from him. So that was great. There's the humor in this is awesome. I think there's actual jokes in this that are I think the comedy in this is way funnier than most Marvel movies, and I think
DC
that no like I was saying
gotcha,
funnier than Marvel movies, and I guess other DC movies too, for sure, because and I'm not even trying to put Marvel down too much, but a lot of their humor is kind of super reactionary. It's just whoa, wasn't that funny, wasn't that weird, oh my god, I'm so surprised. You're a superhero?
I'm from the 50s. McDonald's looks different. I'm Captain America.
Yeah, whoa. Yeah, so it's just a lot of that. And this movie though, I feel like it's more the situation is funny, and the reactions too are a lot funnier. Again, when this awesome super 80s action scenes about to take place, we have all these villains jumping off the plane into the water, and from the beach they swim to the shore, and then the last villain to jump off is Weasel, and he just starts drowning, and it's just this long shot of just hearing him drown, and you see Amanda Wallace's face, and she's just so disappointed, and
they never checked if he could swim or not. They just sent him on the mission.
Yeah, and what's his name? Joel Kinnaman, who plays I always forget his name in this. Rick Flag, Colonel Rick Flag. He's did anyone check and if Weasel could swim? And that, so it's just funny stuff like that it plays off well, and it's more situational.
I'm very surprised he died in the movie, which Peacemaker kills him, which just like Garrett Dillahunt's character in Army of the Dead going in for the Queen's head, you find out that Peacemaker is not that peaceful, and he's being sent in to destroy all of the government data that says that they were the ones responsible for the bad guy. And let's get into the bad guy of this movie, and let me tell you why I think the movie works. So I was talking to a friend of mine about this movie, and I said, she was watching it. I said, "What'd you think of it?" She said it was okay, and I liked it a lot. She said it was okay. I said, "Was the bad guy better than the witch?" She said, "Eh." And I said, "What exactly is the bad guy?" And she said, "A giant starfish." And I was like, "I don't know what that means. I know what that means, but I don't." I think what worked about this movie is I have qualms. I have a problem with the last Fantastic Four movie. Who doesn't? The movie was terrible, sets up the characters for an hour and a half. In the last 20 minutes, you meet the bad guy. In the original, and you and I have talked about this, in the original Godzilla movie with Bryan Cranston, the whole entire movie is about a virus going on, and Godzilla shows up in the last 20 minutes. That's not the kind of movies, those aren't the kind of movies I want to watch where the villain shows up in the last 20 minutes of the movie. I want to have action. It is an action movie. This movie I felt worked because the bad guy is a giant starfish, which you find out isn't meant to be bad. It's a lot like Super 8, J.J. Abrams and Steven Spielberg, Super 8, one of the best movies of all time, which is basically Stand By Me meets It pretty much. And basically, long story short, the movie is about an alien who comes down to Earth and helps us, and then we capture it to study it. And eventually it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna break out of your lab and go back home. And that's kind of what I thought of the starfish in this. The starfish had no bad intentions. It just got too big beyond its belief. So the starfish is pretty dumb in this movie. I mean, it's a giant one-eyed starfish that kind of like doo-doo-boo-doo-boo-doo around the city and just kind of stomps on everybody, including Polka Dot. But I mean, that's not what the movie is about. You know, it's the Peacemaker versus Rick. What's his name? Rick what?
Rick Flag. Well, I mean, that's a good point because you're right. It's not just like trotting along and then jumping out this gigantic, like villain they have to kill at the end. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot more bigger stakes than that. But I do think what's cool about Starro is that, they make this like giant monster and they don't try to aim really for like realism at all. Like it's just like literally this almost this like it's something, obviously it's all CGI, but it almost seems like a kind of character you'd see in like an old like cheap 50s B movie where it's like a giant starfish attacks and that's more fun. Like that alone is like it's a funnier, like more interesting visual to look at than like just like smoke and like a witch or whatever, like some like dark witch in like in the first one. And
I love that one line in the movie. It was one of my favorite lines is who Peter Malducci, who's the guy who controls the starfish?
Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi.
Who plays I forget his character's name. It's something like the brain or something, I forget. Or the thinker. The thinker is his name.
Louis Capaldi's uncle. I learned that.
Okay,
yeah. So Peter Capaldi, God, it's a hard word. Peter Capaldi in the movie. It sounds like you're sneezing. Peter Capaldi. His character can talk to the starfish and communicate with him. And there's a scene where he is speaking for the starfish and basically says like, I never wanted this. Because I think the movie is very similar to Life, which starred Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal. Basically, they're up in space and an alien, just like an alien life form, a little plant, gets brought into their spaceship, and that plant feeds off of things. So throughout the movie, the plant becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and starts to consume everybody. And like you find out that the thing was never bad. It never had bad intentions. It was just put in a different environment. And that's the same thing with the starfish. Is Capaldi's character translates for the starfish and is like, this is not what I wanted. I was just in space and you plucked me out of it into an environment I don't know. The starfish is and it was very Cloverfield. The starfish had a bunch of little starfishes coming off of it and, face hugging people and all of that. That scene was dumb. It was one of those scenes where like everybody dies except for the three main characters. Like
and that's one of those kind of honestly like lazy writing moments because they're like, cover your face, and it literally just seems like if you put your hand to your face,
yep,
it won't attach to it. So it's like, you're right. How is everybody but these three people?
Every
like, not-
soldier
yeah.
dies, just like and then
Yeah,
the main
yeah.
characters are like faboosh, yeah. But
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. So
even by
there's
the
like,
end, everybody almost dies too. The main people almost die. I mean, it's very action packed.
well, I mean, Polka Dot Man dies,
Yep.
which, well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but he really is like, David Desmalchian is so good in this movie. Because obviously we talked about there's that whole like little thing about him, like he only sees his mother in everybody. But he plays it so well, and also it's funny because like, it's kind of a dumb like character idea. Like he just shoots polka dots from his like wrist or whatever, but like the polka dots are like, I don't even know what they are. These like nuclear dots that just like disintegrate anything. So the scenes when he does kill people or do something, it's fucking cool. Like
Yeah.
like
Beautiful
the
at night. The night shots.
Oh yeah, there's a scene when so apparently he has to like purge himself of these dots or it will like consume him. So yeah, there's a scene when like as they camp out the night, you see I think Idris Elba is like watching him. He's like laying down watching him, and he like runs to the river and starts throwing up like all the polka dots, and you see like all the lights flash in the distance. There's some cool visuals with him for sure.
The scene where they kill everybody. So there's a scene in the movie where does it take place? South America, right?
Somewhere like South America, yeah.
So they show up, the Suicide Squad that you see behind Tom. They show up and they see this camp of all of these soldiers smoking, hanging out, playing cards, and they show up and they kill every single one of them. And then you find out that Rick Flag is with their leader and they're hanging out in the camp, and you find out that everybody the Suicide Squad just killed were all good guys that were going to help them take down the bad guys and have the same mission as them. But I think it's one of those kind of jokes of like, you don't know who's bad in what scenario. You cover your ass. You just kind of, do what you got to do and hope it's the right people. But that whole scene, I mean, they killed everybody and you just kind of like root for them. I mean, the shark is eating people whole and you're like, wow, they just took down, 40 soldiers in 5 minutes. And then just that punchline, that kick in the balls of, oh, they were all good and could have helped our main characters. Like,
yeah, they just ruined like a good plan, like a perfectly good plan. It killed perfectly good people. But yeah, it's a great scene. It also portrays some of how good the action is, because there's just a lot of like long takes. There's one when Bloodsport and Peacemaker are just kind of like side by side, like walking, killing people, and it's just like a single shot. And there's one scene too where Peacemaker like he walks by a guy that's sleeping and he just like chops him up in like different spots, and it's just like so fast.
yeah, and you see all the weapons, the blow darts and the this and the that. And I mean, what I loved about the movie too is the night scene with Idris Elba and the rats is very sincere. I like that scene, but I also like the scene with and with Polka Dot at night. I guess there are a lot of good night scenes, but the shark at night. Like the shark at night is almost eating Ratcatcher, I believe, when she's sleeping. And like throughout the whole entire movie, they have to kind of warm up to the shark. What is the shark's name?
It's just like, I think it's just like King Shark or something like that.
Yeah. And they have to warm. I mean, I know people have talked about wanting a Street Shark movie for decades. If you guys remember, that's an old cartoon TV show about sharks on roller skates. I think fought crimes.
Oh, man.
After seeing this, I mean, James Cameron did not direct a movie between, I want to say, Terminator 2 and Titanic. Sorry. Titanic and Avatar. He did not direct a movie for about 16 or 17 years because he was working on Avatar. And when he saw Lord of the Rings Gollum, he said, Avatar's ready. The CGI is there. I'm ready to do Avatar. This should be the Street Shark equivalent, where somebody sees this and goes, Michael Bay goes, hey, I think we're ready for Street Sharks. Because if you throw rollerblades on King Shark, that's it.
That'd be awesome. Like literally, if like they had like a similar like model to like what King Shark looks like, because I love his design. It's great. So
and he's so funny. The scene where he's going,
it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, the scene where he's going undercover. I mean, because the whole movie he's just this dumb lug of a shark, and the whole movie he's trying to be a spy with them. And there's a very funny scene where they're like, all right, we're gonna go in, King Shark, you stay on lookout. And he's like, I want to come in. And they're like, you can't, you're a giant shark. And he's like, what if I put on a disguise? Look, it's a mustache. And just like, it was very just funny. And I think
that scene is great. And then it's funny because when they're like having fun drinking, like they like just cuts to him outside, just like like he like wishes he was inside. Like that cutaway was so good. Like again, there's all these little moments, all these like really funny moments I love in it that actually clash well with how like brutal this movie is. And again, trust James Gunn to make it brutal because he like had his start in like B movies with like Lloyd Kaufman. And also, like, I don't, have you ever seen Slither before?
Saw it once. I need to see it again. Yeah.
I would love to watch it. I haven't seen it in years, but that was like I used to love watching that when I was back in middle school. That's such a gross like creature feature kind of movie, and so it's like obviously like with a movie like this, he's gonna bring, especially again being able to make an R-rated movie like this, he's gonna bring that like quality to it. And that's another thing too. Like there are, this movie kind of wears its influences on its sleeve, but like in a good way. Like it almost like again, it almost has this like 70s exploitation vibe to it in within the action and like its location, which is so cool. And like again, and with Star, it has that like 50s monster movie kaiju almost like feel to it. So it has all these like sci-fi horror like exploitation kind of like facets to it.
And it's not too comic booky. It's not too like, and maybe that's more the Marvel kind of trademark is the credits are the comic books flipping and all of that, but it's not very comic booky, which I liked in this. And I think what I liked about it too is, I don't think I've mentioned this on the podcast, but I've come to the point with superhero movies where I don't like the villain unless they have a motive anymore. Like you talked about the witch in Suicide Squad. I feel like she got turned into the witch or something, but whatever it is if you watched Cable in Deadpool 2, Josh Brolin that summer, he was Cable because his wife and daughter died in a fire and he was trying to, I think, reverse time or something to save them. If you look at Thanos's planet was destroyed due to overpopulation, so he wanted to do a crowd control of the universe and kill off, a third of it or whatever. Even Aquaman. You have the bad guy, I think Patrick Wilson, who is just mad at people on the land for polluting the ocean. And like you watch it and you just go, yeah, okay, like I'm kind of with it. And I think what I liked about this movie too is that, Harley Quinn is just mentally unstable, so you can't really front her for what she's doing. You kind of learn a little bit about Ratcatcher in the movie and her kind of messed up background. The shark has no interest in being a bad guy. He just needs to eat. He needs to feed off of people. Polka Dot Man has to release the polka dots and is probably in prison because one day while releasing them, I think he killed a bunch of people. I mean, even, all the characters in this. Like, I mean, yes, you have Bloodsport, who technically, put Superman in a coma, and that's kind of bad. But everybody else in this, you realize that like they're not all like bad by design. It's kind of that whole nature versus nurture. And one of my favorite quotes, Corky Romano, Chris Kattan, bad dogs aren't born, they're made, which you look at a pit bull and you go, all pit bulls are born with evil. And you're like, no, just the ones that are raised, improperly. And it's just like this too. I mean, Polka Dot Man was not bad. I mean, like he had no bad intentions.
Yeah.
He didn't fight with anyone. He had nothing to like,
Well, the great thing I love, not and again, like I said, David Desmalchin so good as him, is that I think James Gunn was quoted saying like, he's like, it's like this, this is like the most ridiculous character like in the DC, in like any of the DC comics, like just dumb villain, but like he wanted to make him almost like have like a tragic backstory, which he did because he had no say in his powers. It was his mother who was a scientist, and she experimented on her own kids to make them superheroes, and that was the result. And obviously, like you said, he accidentally killed people, which threw him in jail. So yeah, he never had any like villainous pursuits really. He was just severely traumatized and messed up for obvious reasons.
Wrong time, and he dies a hero. I think we talked about that. He dies by fighting off the bad guys in the starfish, and he goes, look, Ma, I'm finally a hero, and then gets stepped on by the starfish. So it's just that whole good and bad, good and evil kind of conversation of, are these people, like Venom is an anti-hero. Are these people anti-heroes? Are they villains? Are they the superheroes in this? Was the starfish the good guy and they're the bad guys? Vice versa? Which we won't get into it, but final season of Walking Dead just started up, and loving what I've seen so far. But that's the best part of Walking Dead is after a few years, a couple people started going, wait, are Rick and all of the protagonists we're following actually the antagonists?
Oh
Because
yeah.
I mean, look at Jaws. I mean, we kill so many sharks every year just because we're afraid of sharks. And it's like that joke of like, oh, woman falls into polar bear den at zoo, polar bear attacks woman, now the polar bear is being put down. Well, what would you do if you were sitting in your living room and somebody came swinging through your window? Self-defense. The polar bear did nothing wrong. Jaws, you look at Jaws, it's just these three men in a boat going out into the middle of the ocean spearing a shark. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do I even need to say it? Harambe. I mean, God,
yeah,
the
okay,
world
yep,
changed. The
yep.
world changed.
Yeah,
It's like,
but it's that kind
yeah.
of like, do a Jaws movie from Jaws's perspective. Like that was his beach for hundreds of years, however long sharks live for, not that long. Actually, they did just find a 400-year-old shark. Anyway, they do a Jaws prequel from Jaws's point of view, and he's just swimming around the ocean, and then everybody's falling into his mouth like one of those like giant killer whale, killer whales or whatever. But that would be a good maybe essay or something where it's like,
yeah. I mean, that's
like
a whole like unique concept
you have
for sure.
Jaws out in the ocean and he's with his family and he's like, all right, guys, gonna drop you off at school. And then you have Roy Schneider and all of them coming
Yeah.
out in the boat. I mean, imagine Finding Nemo. Imagine he's going off to school with the school of fish, and then the people from Jaws come out and just spear all of the fish. I mean, it's
Well, I mean, it's like we're animals too. We're just as we have every right to be here as any other animal, vice versa. If you think about it that way, and like you're right, it's funny, and this is a whole other discussion we're getting into now. But like, yeah, like if you look at like caged animals, like of course, like if a human interacts, like taking an animal out of its own environment and caging it up, like of course it's gonna do some crazy shit and act out of its own being. Like it's gonna do different things.
Our podcast is now a philosophy podcast. We're going to talk about
Yeah.
good versus evil. No, that would be a good episode to do, is take movies where, look at Sharknado. They were a bunch of sharks who were caught in a tornado. Are you going to fault the cow in Twister for being picked up and then landing on somebody? Are you going to say, oh, the cow is evil and call it Cownado?
Oh, so
No.
the cow's the real villain of Twister now.
No, the cow's innocent. The cow's innocent. I mean, the sharks were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Half of Sharknado is people just walking around getting hit in the head with sharks. And it's like, all right, so you're going to tell me if a tornado lifts up a squirrel and then hits somebody in the face with it, we're like, all right, we got to kill every squirrel. Squirrels are attacking us. We're getting off topic.
Yeah, although I wouldn't be surprised if there was an actual Sharknado at this point. In real life.
It's the only thing we haven't seen yet. Yeah.
Right. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, any kind of final thoughts? Because Suicide Squad, I think, was as good as I was hoping it would be, and yeah, I'm personally kind of looking forward to that Peacemaker TV show. Like, I'm not like,
yeah.
I mean, I like comic book stuff enough. Like, I'll go out and see these kind of movies, and I'll see Marvel stuff. But like, as far as TV shows go, it's not like something I'll like normally go out of my way to watch.
Yeah,
I think the only one recently I checked out was WandaVision, which was pretty good.
That. Yeah, and What If looks good, and the Doomsday one on HBO Max. There's a lot. I think so. My final thoughts are, and this is foreshadowing. Free Guy, I've been waiting for years. It's one of those movies where you see the trailer and you go, why didn't I think of that? And of course, I mean, even if I wrote it, it would have never gotten out to Hollywood and gotten bought anyway. Somebody else would have wrote it. But it's one of those movies where you go, damn, I wish I wrote this. So Free Guy I've waited for years. I don't even think that much of it was reshoots. It was more just COVID. They wanted to release it in theaters. Old and Suicide Squad. Those were the most hype movies for me for the past couple of years. So Suicide Squad, I enjoyed it. The nice thing, and I think you're on the same page, is, or at least, I read the first 4 Harry Potter books, and I read them for points in my English class in elementary, middle school. And I don't remember what the hell I read because they weren't my kind of books. Then I went and saw the movies, and I walked out like, cool! And everybody else walked out like, his cloak in the book is brown, and in the movie it's maroon. And I'm just like, I loved it. And I think that like that is the advantage of like going to see these movies and not knowing the comics. Because, like, King Shark might be 15 feet in the comics. And now people hate Suicide Squad. They hate James Gunn. And they're like, this was the worst movie because King Shark was of average height. Like, that is the nice part about going into this. I'm starting to go more in a reverse order. Like, I think when The Walking Dead is done, I'm going to go back and read the graphic novels. And then I also recently picked up The Boys. I've never bought a comic really, but I picked up The Boys and an Avatar comic book recently because I was like, you know what? The Boys has had 2 seasons out. The comic books coincide with the seasons. So now I can go back and read them and it won't really ruin one thing or the other. It's very, very literal though. Very matches up very much. Sorry, closing thoughts. Closing thoughts would be Suicide's great. I think it just came off HBO Max. Find a way to see it. And while you're at it, if you're a James Gunn fan, you talked about Slither, which is great. I think it's Sarah Elizabeth Banks. They've worked together a few times. James Gunn has produced and written 2 movies that were based off of his dreams. I've written a couple cool sci-fi short stories based off of dreams. Belko Experiment. It is a movie that he dreamt about and then wrote a movie about. His brother's in it, Sean Gunn, Michael Roker. It's basically about a bunch of people, Americans, expats who go to Mexico to work in this new office building. They're all planted with GPS chips in case they get abducted by the cartel. And one day at work, all of the walls and windows get shut. And they say at the end of the day, there can only be one person standing. So it's a battle royale. So he produced and wrote that movie. So violent, so fun. Dr. Cox is in it. John C. McGinley from Scrubs. Great cast. And then he made Brightburn. Brightburn is almost like Joker to me, where it's a movie where you haven't seen it yet, right?
No, it looks pretty cool though.
It's Jokerish to me, where I think that I only need to see it once. It's another dream he had. It's Elizabeth Banks is starring in it, and it's a very, very simple premise. It's not even like a kind of. The premise is, what if Superman decided to use his powers for bad? So the movie starts off, Elizabeth Banks and her husband are on a farm, alien land. Superman, by the time he's 13 or 14, instead of learning how to lift cars and help around the farm, he learns how to rob banks and kill people. The movie is extremely violent, extremely twisted. It's exactly an hour and 20 minutes. Saw it in theaters. Very disturbing last scenes, but it's a very cool concept that's never been done. But like I said, it's hard to watch in times. It's very, very hard to watch. But those are 2 James Gunn things, along with, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy. What are your final thoughts
For Suicide Squad?
Yes.
No, like I said, it hit all those marks that I wanted it to. It's and more. Like it really was able to kind of pick, or James Gunn was able to kind of pick these little moments in these genre kind of aspects and bring them into his movie. Like I said, sci-fi with Starro and 50s B movie stuff and exploitation stuff, and actually merge it where it's not just there because it wants to be there, but it's there because it actually like fits these characters and fits this kind of story. And yeah, super violent, super bloody. I thought all the characters were super fun in it. Just a really like enjoyable movie to watch. Like probably one of the Very more fun. Enjoyable and unique comic book movies I've seen in quite some time. And it's
adventure,
it's also
a good ride.
Yeah, and it's also kind of sad too because the first one actually made a bank. Like the first one made like $700+ million off like $100 million. This one, I don't even think it made its budget back, which is unfortunate. And a lot of reasons. Obviously, this is a much different time than 2016. Obviously,
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
there's obviously
for free on
reasons.
HBO Max. Why are people going to run out?
Yeah, HBO Max, and I don't think it's as unique. Like the city isn't as unique as it was in 2016. Even though James Gunn movie is way more unique than David Ayer's, but no, it's great. I'm excited to watch it again. But yeah, did you want to jump into Free Man a little bit or
Free Guy?
Yeah, Free Guy. See, I haven't even seen it yet.
I have a segue. I came up with. The good thing about the Suicide Squad is that it kind of starts to prove that in the right hands, complete creative control can be a good thing, which I think now when he makes Guardians 3, He's going to be given all hands on, go out and make it. He'll bring in more of his friends. Steve Agee in this is the human inside of the shark and is one of the people that works alongside Viola Davis. James Gunn's wife is one of the people who works there too. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is complete creative control can be a good thing and should be encouraged in some ways, except for when it comes to M. Night Shyamalan. So I waited a few years for Old. I psyched myself up. The trailer was fantastic. It's got Alex Wolff, who's a great horror actor. So young. He does only good horror roles. The movie... I have a lot of segues. I've been watching The Perfect Nine on Hulu. Nicole Kidman, Melissa McCarthy. I, of course, binged, like the rest of the world, The White Lotus on HBO Max. I feel as good and as interested as I've been in both of those shows. I've been trying to watch island TV shows and movies to make up for how bad Old was. And you saw Old?
I did see Old, yeah.
Tom and I are just going to tell you what happened. We're going to spoil everything anyway, but we're going to do it so you don't have to go see it. I have a lot of friends who are like, it's the funniest movie. It's laugh out loud. I am still bitter about it, and I'm not okay yet with like laughing about how bad it was. It was up there with The Happening. And I've been on board with M. Night since he did Wayward Pines with Matthew, who is that? Who's the guy from Entourage?
In Old?
No, sorry. Something about Mary Dillon, Matthew Dillon. He was in Wayward Pines, which is a book that takes place 400 years in the future. Toby Jones is in it, created by M. Night. Fantastic. M. Night made that movie The Visit a few years ago about kids who go to their grandparents. Their grandparents are acting different. Fantastic. I haven't watched the Apple TV show yet. But this movie was just, it was there. Basically, the premise behind it is M. Night was given a book, I think, by his wife in France a while back, and he kind of based this movie off of that. So the movie is about people who go to this island, and while they're on the island, they find out that every hour on the island half hour is 1 year of their life. So in half a day, they're speeding up by quite a lot. The movie, the trailer, half the scenes in the trailer aren't even in the movie, and what's actually in place of them is terrible. But the very opening of the movie, the foreshadowing, everything's the opening of the movie, the main family is on a bus going to the resort, and the 12-year-old daughter's singing, and the mom says, "Oh, I hope I can hear you sing. I can't wait to hear you sing when you're older." And you go, well, there's going to be a scene in the third act where like the mom's probably dying and the daughter's now older and singing to her. And there are all these scenes with the parents fighting. Basically, the main family is there as they're getting a divorce. The kids don't know yet. It's kind of their one last vacation. There's a rapper named Midsize Sedan. It's so terribly acted, terribly written. We'll get to the end. We'll get to the spoilers.
I don't know what I expected really, because I was also really excited for this movie because it's such a crazy concept, and who else than M. Night Shyamalan to direct, and write this. So like, I was all for it. I was all for like seeing his vision, and I don't know, like it's funny because when we first talked about it, I told you I kind of liked it, and looking back, I still had fun with it, but. No, I've kind of changed my view a little bit. I definitely see now some of the aspects and how like poorly it was done, and I think how honestly like he could have gone like a lot farther. Like honestly, like leave it to him to have these kind of like more like hokey and like out of place moments. I think he should have went farther with that. Like, for instance, like, even like having the kids age as fast as they did. Like we have that young child who's like 5 and he grows up and he becomes, Alex Wolff ends up playing him when he grows older. So like there's an obviously definitive change as there is with kids when they grow older. But like, I almost feel like all the other adults didn't really age that much. Like they might have gotten like slightly grayer hair or something. But like I kind of wish they like went for it and like literally like our main couple, the main people, like had like baggy skin, and like they really were like actually getting old. Like it didn't really play that way with that. I kind of wish he went farther with it at that point, because it was just so ridiculous to begin with. And I mean, I'll give credit where credit's due. I think like the scenes when they're like first discovering what's going on are kind of cool. Like there's some cool visual moments of like one of the girls tries to. I mean, this is actually way after they find out, but she's trying to leave this like the island and leave the beach area, which they've tried earlier and can't do. They almost become like numb, like, or they like freeze in space, and like they can't like go past a certain point. So like one character tries to climb the cliff, or a cliff, go over and try to get out, and that's a cool scene. And I there's another scene we talked about. I know you thought it was ridiculous, and it was, but one of the characters, she's like a young wife to this older guy, and she's obviously blonde, kind of dumb, like super obsessed with her image. And she obviously she's really only concerned with the fact she's getting old. Like, oh my God, I'm getting wrinkles and I'm getting old. And there's a scene when she's in a cave. I think Alex Wolff and another character finds her, and she's like walking towards them, and her whole body's like contorting, and like her arms are like twisting around, and like it is ridiculous. But I loved it because it was like, it's so weird looking. The visuals were so funny and weird looking, and it reminded me of a scene in the Suspiria remake, where a character is being possessed, and as she's dancing, her limbs are again like coming in and out of place, and twisting. And obviously in that movie it was way scarier and more fucked up, but here I thought it was like silly enough that I was like okay, fuck it.
It was like from a Goosebumps movie. It was like, I'm getting old.
Yeah, it really was. That's a good way to put it. It was like Goosebumps.
And I mean, The Exorcist. My mom raised me, my sister, on horror movies, and I watched Exorcist probably at a young age. And do you remember The Exorcist really well?
I do, yeah.
The scene where she's going down the steps upside down. That is like one of the scariest movies in a movie, scariest scenes in a movie. And like that movie came out 40 years ago, and that was still better than this woman just. And I was just, let's move on quickly, but talk about the twist, because the twist is cool. I mean, the end of the movie is cool. The last line of the movie is awful.
I'll say this. Yeah, the twist, obviously, as you would expect for a Shyamalan movie, is cool. Like, I think this idea of like this mega like pharmaceutical company who has discovered this beach that rapidly ages people, using it to their advantage to test medicine, like that's a cool idea. But again, personally, I'm like, you explain everything. Like literally the head of this like whatever Pfizer company, this like fake pharmaceutical company, he just like kind of blatantly explains everything, and I'm like, I don't know. Again,
I liked it. I liked it because I think we needed it, because like
I guess at that point you're like, fuck it, like you might as well just like explain all this. But I don't know, like I almost wish there was some more like subtlety, or like at least like mystique to it, I guess, like of like why people are aging fast on this beach. But no, I mean, again, like this is something where I've like totally changed my mind. I went from thinking this was kind of like something that was fun and like worthwhile, but like I really, I kind of, the way I engage with like a movie and like how I view it afterwards is how much I really like feel, like how I feel afterwards, and how much I like actively am thinking about it and like replaying scenes in my head. And like this one isn't really one that kind of fell off fast, and every time I think about it, I'm just like, yeah, it's pretty stupid. Like,
I get
it's pretty
very
dumb.
mad. Basically, so let's for somebody who's not going to see it, that wants to pretend it was really good, here's my summary. Family goes to an island. As they get there, the mom and dad are presented 2 cocktails. They go, hey, you filled out a cocktail survey. Here are your cocktails. As they're there, the little boy, who's Alex Wolff later on in the movie, the little boy is playing with the nephew of the owner of the resort. And the little boy's running around with the little boy from the resort. And he's like, hey, let's play a game together. They're playing a game, crossword kind of game, or hangman. He runs up to his uncle and he's like, hey, I've never had friends, because all the friends that I make here all disappear and they never come back to the resort again. You're like, whoa. So then they go down to the beach. M. Night drops them off. He's kind of their chauffeur. He drops them off at the beach, and they're like, aren't you coming down? He's like, you got it, bye. And just leaves them to carry their food down. He gives them like years supplies of food because they need it while they're down there because they're aging so fast. They're like, this is a lot of food. And he's like, it's years worth. And they're like, I guess we'll carry it. So then the whole movie, you see somebody up on a mountain spying on them with binoculars. And you go, who is this? I don't know who's spying on them. This movie's very weird. Towards the end, Alex Wolff and his sister, who in the movie start out as maybe 5 and 11, are now in their 40s at the very end. Everybody else has died or killed each other or gone crazy, died of old age. And the guy, who was the little boy in the beginning, opens up the paper that he got from the nephew, the little kid at the resort. And it's a crossword game or whatever that says, what is it? Coral reef. My uncle's afraid of the coral reef. So they dive into the ocean, they go under the coral reef, they get caught on it, and you're like, they're gonna drown. And then it cuts back to a new family showing up to the resort. They go to get their cocktails, and now you see the 40-year-old brother and sister knock the cocktails out of the hand of the guy who runs the resort. And basically, I like this part because it's how it would work with social media in the world today. They show up. I think this is, I also hate it too. They show up and they're like, everybody, don't drink these cocktails. Leave the resort. They're going to send you to an island where you age a bunch and then you're all going to die. And then everybody's like, what? And they start taking out their phones and they're like uploading the story to Facebook, which like, who is just like, that sounds about right. Let's film this. Like,
right. Yeah.
You'd be like, these people are drunk. And then they wind up, exposing the whole place. The place gets shut down. Everybody gets arrested. But M. Night comes back. He thinks that they died in the coral reef, that they got stuck and drowned. And there's just a really cool scene where he's at the lab, and they're all kind of praying or giving a couple seconds of silence for their martyrs. They bring these people to the island, and you find out that I would say this might be the dumbest scene in the whole movie. As they're all on the island, they're doing the whole saw, how'd we get here? What do we have in common? And you're like, they all have an illness. One has early dementia, one has a tumor, one has this. You find out when they got to the island, their concoctions were the first of the medicines they were going to get. And then basically the whole premise of the movie, like Tom said, is, I have early onset dementia. So you have somebody on the island age for 30 or 40 years and their dementia never gets worse. And you find out the cocktail they were given in the beginning was the medicine. And now they can bring that to people back on the mainland who has early onset dementia, and they can take that medicine and it won't get worse for 40 years. So you have all of that going on. But the one scene I couldn't stand was they're like, how did you learn about the island? And they're like, they basically say, I got an ad on the bottom of my CVS receipt. Like, I went to the pharmacy at CVS and they told me I won an island resort retreat. So
yeah, again, there's just like, such silly, like, quick moments like that. There's like, okay, like that's how it happened, I guess. Like, cool. I mean, and I agree too, like a lot of the foreshadowing is so like in your face obvious. Although there was one bit that I liked where one of the vacationers there, she starts having a seizure while they're eating their food, and like, it's like a pretty well shot scene. It's scary because watching anyone have a seizure is scary, and then she ends up recovering from that and moving on. And then obviously we learn later that she was picked because she had these seizures, and then they tested the medicine on her, and she actually ended up being the most successful victim, where I guess the medicine was able to ward off her seizures for like 16 years straight. And I thought that that was like smarter foreshadowing to have, but again, like that, it's few far in between in this one. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't have too much more to say on it. Like, it's just like, I thought it could have been, more unique and psychological in its view of like how people deal with aging, maybe. But it obviously, it went more for like kind of shock, and even that, it really wasn't like super. It wasn't like this, like, whoa, like this is a crazy like theater experience you got to go check out, So
if I didn't pay for AMC Plus, I'd be pretty upset.
I know, dropping like $14 on this. Yeah,
I consider every movie free using that. No, I'll never give up on M. Night. I can't wait to watch his Apple show. I think it's 2 years in now. with Rupert Gingrich. But let's move on from old, talk about Free Guy. Tom didn't see it, so he can't cover it as much as we did, like Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad. Also, I don't want to ruin it for Tom, but basically, it is Wreck-It Ralph live action meets The Truman Show meets Ready Player One, which we'll talk about Space Jam. Ready Player One meets... There's one more movie in there. Basically, and this is what I loved about it. This is what I really, 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 really appreciated. The first trailer comes out for the movie. And basically it's about a video game character that becomes self-aware. Kind of Wreck-It Ralph style. He's just the extra in Grand Theft Auto. The guy in the street who you punch and rob or something else. He lives his same life every day. He's very happy-go-lucky. And then one day he turns the tables and is like, I want to become the main character. So Ryan Reynolds plays that main character. Some of it was filmed in Boston. Ryan Reynolds said it was the most fun he's ever had doing the movie. He now wants screenplays for video game movies to come, to him. He's like, I want to find more video game movies to make. But basically that's what it is. Taika Waititi plays the main villain. And what I liked about it is the first trailer, you find out that, what's her name from Killing Eve is in it. Jodie. Gotta look it up.
Foster?
No, I think it's Jodie, right? Hold on, let me just look up the whole cast. Jodie Comer. Jodie Comer.
Oh,
So
okay.
in the first trailer of the movie, you find Ryan Reynolds is this guy, Free Guy, and he frees himself and becomes a main character and starts taking on missions. And Jodie Comer is in it as well. And she's a video game character who's kind of the badass, and he kind of falls in love with her. The second trailer of the movie, no spoilers really, shows you that Jodie Comer is a real life person like you and I. And she's playing the game. And the person that Ryan Reynolds meets in the game is her character. Is her kind of, what do you call it in gamers world? Her design.
Avatar?
Her avatar.
Okay.
Her
Yeah.
avatar. So she kind of starts to fall for him. But it's like if you were playing The Sims and you started to fall for that sim that you were hanging out with or whatever. But there's so much to the movie. There's a lot of cool technology to it. You see a lot of Jodie Comer in the real world versus her avatar. In the real world, she's a nerdy programmer who makes video games, and she's very cutesy and innocent looking and just this nerdy coffee drinking programmer. And then in the game, she's wearing all leather and shades and riding motorcycles and shooting guns. It is just such... I've thought about it for a while because it's such a fun movie. I saw it in 3D. The 3D is pretty fun. I'd say worth it for 3D. I wish I saw an IMAX and at a much bigger screen, but it's fun. The soundtrack's fun. It's Ryan Reynolds, so there's cameos that I will never spoil. Maybe in a month or two. There's cameos in it that will make you almost pee your pants. There's one scene where there's a kid playing the video game and he has a Deadpool poster in his room. So, typical Ryan Reynolds creative control as well, where he got to, add a few things into it. But it's very funny. It's very action packed. I mean, just look at the poster. It is so action packed. It's so violent and just so... It's very cool. Basically, he picks... Oh, that's it. It's also a mix of They Live. Have you seen They Live?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so They Live
Great
is
movie.
John Carpenter, and it's basically an alien comes down to Earth and drops their sunglasses, and the main guy picks them up, and with them, he can tell who is an alien hiding in a human body, and he goes to kill them off, and then he also learns about advertisements. So if he sees a Marlboro Light cigarette ad and he puts the glasses on, it says consume, obey, all these things. And that's what this is. Ryan Reynolds picks up the glasses that the actual players are using, and now he sees all the missions and the health and all of that. And there's just... The whole movie is in the video game and then in real life and kind of collides the two worlds together. Super fun. I walked out for about a minute after I left going, it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And then I was like, you know what? It was. I hyped this movie up. I waited for years and years and years to the point where, like, I think I wanted it to be 100%. And it was like 96%. It was fantastic. I loved it. And I was like, no, I was not upset. I loved the movie, loved everything about it. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, no, it sounds awesome, like the way you describe it. And I think this idea is super unique as well. And I don't know, Sean Levy's a pretty good director for the most part. Like he's made, like, I know he made the original, like, Night at the Museum.
Oh, cool.
Like Cheaper by the Dozen. He's kind of delved in
Interesting.
different kids movies. Real Steel. I don't know if you remember that movie.
Yeah, the Rock'em Sock'em Boppa movie. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
That's on TV all the time.
And then actually, it's funny. This is his first movie, I think, since the last Night at the Museum, the last one they made.
Which, you know who wrote Night at the Museum?
Who?
Robert Ben Garant and Thomas Lennon of The State or Reno 911. Let me, for anybody who's listening to this who is a screenplay writer or aspiring screenplay writer like Tom and I just want to recommend a book that I read back in the day. It is a book written by Thomas Lennon and Robert Ben Garant. They have grossed over $1 billion at the box office in their movies. They wrote Herbie Fully Loaded. They wrote the Night at the Museum movies. They've written a ton of stuff together. And anyway, the two of them wrote a book together. I just want to find the name so I don't mess it up. They wrote a screenplay book that is unlike any other screenplay book in the sense that it tells you if you are writing a movie, right? If you're writing a movie and somebody from Miramax calls you in and has you park in this lot, it means they're not going to buy your movie. If they have you park in this lot, it means they're going to buy your movie. They joke about how they're responsible for the downfall of Lindsay Lohan because they wrote Herbie Fully Loaded. It's a book called, and maybe we can add it into this episode, Writing Movies for Fun and Profit, How We Made $1 Billion at the Box Office, and You Can Too. Hilarious movie, or book, and they cross the fun out on it. So it's profit. How to write a movie for profit. Very, very funny.
That's crazy though that the movies they've written have collectively grossed that much money. That is really fucking wild.
And nobody knows them as writers. And I mean, they've done so much. Let's get into, because I know we got to wrap up soonish here. Space Jam. I know you want to talk about the new Space Jam, which
right. Well,
give me
it's interesting because what do you want to ask?
Well, I was gonna say I like to play a fun game with people where I'll say, like, where do you want to go eat? And they'll say, I want to go eat here. And I say, tell me in 16 words why you want to eat at this restaurant. Tell me in 4 words your favorite James Cameron movie and why. I like to play that game. So before you delve into the train wreck that was the new Space Jam movie, give me your review of it in 7 words. No more, no less.
Okay. I don't know if I want to just say words or phrase it in a certain way, but I would say no. Wait, I'm not starting now. Hold on. All right.
No, sorry. I'm doing it in my head. So mine would be
so
LeBron James better actor in small parts. Here we go.
That's a good one. I can agree. Like,
that's
he's very funny. He's very funny in Trainwreck.
Yes.
I would say collective nostalgia outruns real talented movie. I don't know. All I know is like, kind of like the original. The original, kind of a lot of it had to do with nostalgia, and not just at the time, but like of Looney Tunes itself. And it was as is the new one, but the original as well. It's kind of like one big commercial. Like it was kind of made to sell. You're selling a lot of different things, and obviously having like the biggest, most notable basketball player of the time be in it, is like an obvious thing. And in this one, they do a lot more to bring in like other properties from Warner Brothers. And again, to get that nostalgia and say, hey, like, look what we've made in the past. Look at these movies. And I don't know where this differs too is like, the original, the Looney Tunes themselves are out to get, like, they specifically know who Michael Jordan is and like enlist him and like, hey, come play for us. And in this one, there's this whole like, I don't know exactly what it is, but there's this whole like computer multiverse kind of deal that this like main AI programmer like runs, who's played by Don Cheadle, who's actually very funny in this. I think he's actually
good.
one of the better parts of this movie.
I don't know if they made this obvious. Wait, I'm confused now. I'm trying to think, did I come up with this and I'm very smart, or was it very obvious in the movie? His character was basically the DNA character from Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, I kind of got that too.
You did? Okay. Yeah.
I kind of got that as well. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's kind of locked in there, and he finds a way to capture LeBron, because LeBron is invited to Warner Brothers Studios. They pitch an idea for him, some idea that he can pretty much be in any movie, through the use of technology. And then he gets sucked into the world, obviously, and his only way out is he has to win a basketball game against a team that Don Cheadle chooses, so he can get out. And through all this too, he's trying to be a real father. He's trying to reconnect with his son, who he's been trying to push basketball on, even though his son wants to be like a programmer, make video games. So like, I don't know. Again, I personally, I'm not like, I don't think the original is like amazing. It seems like nowadays people talk about it as if it's just like grandiose, like 90s movie that's just so amazing. And it's a fun movie, but I don't think it's like fantastic by any means.
I will go solo. I will branch off and do my own movie podcast. If that's how you honestly
just do
feel.
the wheel podcast.
The Weiliotis. You could do the Weiliotis podcast.
Yeah, it'll be competing podcasts now.
Weiliotis.
So
really,
like,
you didn't like the original? And
I like it.
You know what?
I do. I like it. I just don't think it's like, it just seems like when people talk about it, it's like, oh, it's this amazing like 90s movie. If I'm talking like my favorite 90s movie, that's not gonna be in the list. I'm sorry, Space Jam's just not making the cut.
This might be one of those moments where we're going more psychological, philosophical, philosophizing right here. Are you opening up my eyes that maybe Space Jam is not one of the best kids movies? We just like it because it's nostalgic? Is that kind of what you're saying?
I mean, I think that does have a lot to play into it. Like, I'll say one thing that's great about it. I love animation, and combining live action and animation is really cool. And like, what is that movie? Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Never
like,
seen
when that
it.
came out, really? Ooh.
I know.
Ooh.
I need to. I've been
Maybe
on the ride.
That'd be a fun one to do a podcast on.
Okay.
But like when that came out, that was late 80s. That was such a big deal and such a huge development in technology to be able to have cartoon characters, 2D cartoon characters interact in a 3D world, so interact with actual people. And in a sense, I think Space Jam did that too, where it is very impressive with what they did. And it is funny enough and unique enough, and but like, so I say that because of that, I wasn't like overly hyped by any means for Space Jam: A New Legacy. It was more like, oh yeah, this is cool. Let's see what they do with the technology. Let's see how good of an actor, LeBron James can be on his own.
I was not that psyched. I was at first.
Yeah.
And then the more you like saw it on Oreos and cereal in the store, I was kind of like, meh, we'll see. There was no...
Oh man, the product placement was real with this movie too.
There was no Bill Murray that you knew about. There was no like original cast and all of that. And I think we'll keep getting into it. But my very quick summary would just be exactly what you said. The movie was a humble brag to everything Warner Brother has done, but it wasn't humble. It was like, I think one of the first reviews I read of it basically said that a bunch of extras came in. They gave them costumes from a Halloween store and told them to play the characters.
Oh my God.
They're playing the basketball game, you have Pennywise, the Penguin, and you have all these people who look like they've never acted. Like it was the director's aunt came in and dressed up as Pennywise and was like, oh, basketball game.
Yeah, that's a perfect description of that, because that's what's different from this in the original game is that they have all these different characters from various Warner Brothers IP running around, or they're in the background cheering for the game, and really, for a movie of like this size and the budget, it's so funny how you very easily look in the background and you're like, oh, that's just a guy in a Frozen costume, or that's a guy in a Pennywise costume. And it's like, yeah, because literally there is one scene when you see I'm sorry, not Frozen, Mr. Freeze. You see the
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Freeze
Yeah, yeah.
from the Batman and Robin movie, but it's obviously not Arnold Schwarzenegger, so it's very obvious it's not
Yep.
him. And there's some other you see some of the monkeys from the Wizard of Oz. I mean, they looked fine.
Game of
But, like-
Thrones, right? Game of Thrones was in there. The dragon.
Yeah,
I
King
think.
Kong, which
Yeah,
is also funny
yeah.
because
Old
the
school
King
King Kong.
What's up?
Old school King Kong, right? Or was it new?
Yeah, I guess it looks more old school, but I think the funny part is that it doesn't really look. He didn't really look anything like our current iteration that you see in like the King Kong versus Godzilla, which literally just came out like a couple months ago. So it's like
Copy
it's like,
paste.
okay.
Copy paste.
yeah, so it's like there's stuff like that that's just really funny, and it's like okay, like like you said, it's a humble brag, but it's not. You're just gonna keep throwing all of your properties at us and be like, look, we made this, we made that, but not do anything unique or interesting with it. And then I will say this too about like the main, I guess, central like emotional arc they have with LeBron James' character and his son. Like, I think it's admirable that they tried to do that. Like, they tried to actually put something more heartfelt in it. But like, again, I don't think that, and not surprisingly, LeBron isn't that great of an actor. So there's just scenes when it just sounds like he's reading off the script where it's like, oh, come on, son, why don't you want to play basketball? It's like, okay, come on, like really, like
What will you
like-
do with computer programming? We're made to be basketball players, son. It's what I did, and look where the mansions that it bought us. I mean, the whole. They say that comedy is the hardest thing to write, but I feel like comedy is the easiest thing to act, maybe. And I could be very wrong, but all I'm saying is from this movie is LeBron James is very funny as like a guest in a movie, a cameo like Trainwreck, where he has one or two lines per scene and he's very funny. Putting him in a dramatic role. Do you want to say hi? Putting him in a dramatic role was very. He just hopped up here. This is Jaeger, one of our mascots. Putting him in a
Hell yeah.
dramatic role was, I mean, like you said, the acting could not have been worse. And I mean, like, there were parts of it where it all seemed phoned in, where like, I mean, the scene where he gets sucked into the game and it's like LeBron James, that's the cool part of the movie. It's not like a hole in the golf course like in the original. It's all like kind of like Free Guy. There's a lot of AI to it and zeros and ones and binary and all that good stuff, right? Mainframe computer rooms. But there's a scene where LeBron James is getting sucked into the cartoon world and he's spinning. And I mean, I want to see if I can act as bad as it was. He's like,
yeah. And how many
was-
times does he like scream in this movie where it's like, oh,
Do you,
yeah, it's just
do you
like,
remember? Have you seen Trolls 2? It's voted like the best.
oh
one.
yeah,
Okay. They're eating her. And then they're gonna eat me. No, that's like the most famous scene of like bad horror movies, bad movies.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was LeBron the whole movie, and you're just thinking, if I'm the editor of this movie, I would probably have had Don Cheadle come in and say, Don Cheadle, can you pretend you're falling through a time warp into a computer world? Have Don Cheadle do it. But they literally seemed like LeBron James. They're like, LeBron James, you're falling. Okay, good. Let's cut to the next scene. We got LeBron James. Like, I mean, it was so bad. I liked, I guess I'm going to spoil something for, I've been watching a lot of TV shows. I've been watching Turner and Hooch, starring Josh Peck on Disney Plus. Super cutesy show, fun, pretty like action packed for Disney. Really good show and just has a lot of dogs in it. I cannot recommend enough, and nostalgia plays a big part in it, but it's also so well done. I cannot recommend enough the new Mighty Duck show on Disney Plus. It is fantastic.
Yeah, you were hyping that up big time last time we talked about it.
I can't stop thinking about there are cameos, there are people coming back. The goalie is just like Goldberg from the original. It is such a I want to talk about this too. Just like Ted Lasso, it is the sweetest, funniest show, and there's just so much heart to it and sincerity. It is such a beautiful, beautiful show. And what I like about it is the show Mighty Ducks. Another thing I don't want to spoil, I don't want to talk much about it, is you see what happened to Gordon Bombay after the Mighty Ducks, because he's one of the main characters in it. It's him and Lauren Graham. She plays a single mom, just like Liam Neeson always plays a widow and everything. Lauren Graham plays the single mom. Her son gets cut from the Ducks, and he's like, I want to keep playing hockey, and she's like, cool, we'll start a team together. Gordon Bombay is the owner of the ice rink that she rents out. It's like this dinky rink that just is beaten up and is on the corner of the street. You can barely even tell it's there. And you find out everything that happened to Gordon Bombay since the Mighty Ducks. And that's what I liked about this new Space Jam movie, is that like a lot of the movie is LeBron and Bugs, can we call him Bugs, rounding up all of the people, rounding up everybody, and you find out where everybody in the cast has all gone, and they're all washed up now, living in their own dimensions, essentially. So I like that part of it. That part I liked in the movie, is where he's collecting everybody. You know, what happened to Yosemite Sam? What happened to Pepe, or who else is in it? Lola Bunny. What happened to the chicken? Like, you got to find out where everybody, because that's the whole premise of the show, right? That the Looney Tunes pretty much just like cease to exist, and they all kind of like retired.
I think so. Yeah, like disband.
Yeah,
from a group, and like that's another interesting part of the movie where when they're going to find the Looney Tunes, they are like in other movies, So I'm trying to remember who is not Wile E. Coyote. Who is I forget one of the Looney Tunes names, but he's playing the piano in Casablanca, and then there's another character that's in, or maybe it is Wile E. Coyote who's in in the Mad Max Fury Road movie.
Yes.
So like
Matrix, was there a Matrix in this?
Yeah, there was, and
Maybe,
that's like
wasn't
Lola? No, it was I forget who it was. Although I'll say that scene to me was just like, they did the obvious joke of like the freeze frame, bullet dodging kind of stuff, which is like, God, that is like the most like done to death, I feel like, parody thing ever.
They just released the first footage from the Matrix 4, which everybody's saying it's giving off a lot of John Wick vibes. I know we're segueing and all over the place. The new Bill and Ted movie is free on Hulu. It has some nostalgia to it. It is not a good movie.
Bill and Ted Face the Music?
Yeah. Have you seen
I
it?
never saw it. No, I never saw it.
It has, what's her name? Other Margot Robbie. Samara Weaver and the sister from Atypical playing the daughters of Keanu and Alex Winter. And they're both very good actresses in it. They're both good at playing like the daughters of them exactly. It's fun. It's funny. It's got good cameos, but it's very, very bad. But yeah, I mean, Space Jam. So I mean, what did you like it?
The new Space Jam?
Yeah.
It's okay overall. Like, I don't think it's like terrible. I just think it's pretty lazy and an obvious like commercial kind of movie. But I mean, like I said, I'm a big fan of like blending certain art forms. So having animation and live action is always cool to me. And also because this is a kids movie, I look at it from that frame of mind too. I'm like, all right, so like, is this a good movie for kids?
Okay.
Are they gonna have fun with it? Are they gonna learn anything? And like, sure, they probably would. And like, again, even though like the whole like emotional arc of like LeBron trying to be a better father is kind of like ham-fisted in there, and he's not the greatest actor. I mean, I think kids could find something out of that, potentially. So yeah, it's okay. It's kind of what I expected, but I
think where it missed the mark there is like you watch, I mean, this has been going on since like Jimmy Neutron in high school. I remember seeing that movie, and they were at an amusement park and there was a mummy ride that was called Show Me the Mummy. So like, I mean, since we were kids, since our parents were kids movies always had inappropriate jokes and nostalgia to it. So the parents watching it could get a kick out of it. And I think that this movie appealed to children, and that was it. I think it appealed to kids who were like, whoa, special effects, and I'm getting to meet the Looney Tunes this way. but I feel like it really missed the mark on like how can parents watching this with their kid feel the nostalgia
Well,
and be entertained.
yes, I would say yes and no, and only that because, like again, when they're rounding all Looney Tunes up, like there are shots of Looney Tunes existing in Casablanca, which no kid really
Yeah.
knows what the fuck Casablanca is. So like, I guess they tried maybe, but yeah, it's not the same. It's obviously not as good as a lot of other children's movies. So yeah, it was just okay. But if you don't have any, do you have any other words about it?
No, just like old. I didn't care for it. And it's too long. That
It
was
is
my
too long. Yeah.
problem. It was like, because I remember watching it, because I mean I stay up till 12 or 1 every night, so like I'll watch 2 hours of Bachelor in Paradise, and then I'll watch a movie, and then I'll catch up on a couple episodes of a show I need to watch. Like I watch a lot of TV every night, and that was like 2.5 hours. It's like almost my whole night. And I was just like, I kind of psyched myself up, sprawled out on the couch to watch it, and was just from the get go, from the beginning of LeBron James just talking to his 4 sons in it or whatever, and being like, it was just terrible. Yeah.
Well, I will say,
What's his name? Who played the Don Cheadle? Like Don Cheadle tried. I mean, he put on a good performance. He did
for
good,
sure.
but you wonder like what he thought at the premiere of it. What he thought and was like, oh crap. Like
yeah.
even
so
the best actor can't carry a whole production, you know.
Yeah, so yeah, it is to be expected, and I do also to segue too into a non-kids movie, Candyman. I kind of want to talk about that for a sec because I will say I know you haven't seen the new one yet. Have you seen the original?
I've not. This one just interests me. I like the cast a lot, and Monkey Paw. So I mean, I was on board for that, but I'd never seen it. No, out of all of the horror movies I grew up with, Candyman and Hellraiser. I've never seen any of those series.
Oh, Hellraiser was cool. We should
Yeah.
maybe in the future we could do a double feature review, do both Candymans or something. Because
Was there only how many old ones are there?
oh, there's actually a lot. I think the original there spawned like 3 or 4 sequels, but this
Okay.
new one disregards everything after the first one, which is probably a good thing. I have not seen the
Oh.
sequels. I've heard nothing but like bad things. I'll watch them eventually. I'm a completist
Okay.
when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the original, personally, one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely one of my favorite '90s movies.
Really?
I think, yeah, I think it's a truly creepy, scary, like horror movie that's able to kind of it's about how the in its purest form, it's kind of about how the past influences the present, and how people mythologize certain things, and how that fear can kind of take root in communities. And this new one, what's kind of cool about it is it develops the idea of Candyman like a lot further. It's able to do more with the lore, and for the most part, I think it's really good. I don't know. I don't think it's like, honestly, I don't think it's as scary as the original. I don't think it's as haunting. It seems a little bit more like a psychological thriller, if I'm going to be
Okay.
honest. And so you have this character who, like in the original, I forget her name in the original, but she's played by Virginia Madsen, who is trying to do research on the Candyman, and obviously she digs a little too deep, and it ends up like haunting her, and she's consumed by the Candyman. In this one, it's kind of a similar thing where you have this character who's played by, let's see if I can say his name here, Yahya Abdul Mateen II. Great actor, by the way. I have not seen him in much, but he is really good in this. And he's a painter. He lives with his girlfriend who runs or helps run a art gallery, and he's trying to find the next thing to really build, his next kind of project. And he learns about the Caprini Green housing project and all these horrors in the past, and he ends up learning about the legend of the Candyman, and how if you say his name 5 times in the mirror, he will appear and kill you. So he creates a whole art installation around this, which ends up starts killing people, kills the person who owns the art exhibition. And then from there, people start learning about Candyman, and it kind of spreads throughout the town. And while this is happening, he's kind of losing his mind and slowly becoming another version of the Candyman. And which I will say is probably my favorite aspect of it was his transformation, because Yaya is a great actor. You can kind of see his torment. He's slowly losing it. He's slowly both like physically he's becoming grotesque, but he's also losing his mental and not sure like what's going on in reality. And that aspect of it was really great. I also think that Tiana Paris is in this. She's really great. She's his girlfriend who, well, I won't say too much about that, but she's really great in this. Coleman Domingo is awesome in it.
So I love him from
yeah, he's
Fear
awesome.
Fear the Walking Dead, and he was in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's fantastic. I know him mainly for Euphoria. He's in Euphoria.
Oh, cool.
And really, really good in that. Also, 2 movies this year, obviously Candyman, but he's also in Zola, which is fantastic. Probably one of my favorite movies of the year, honestly.
I'm looking at Yaya's IMDb page and realizing how many things I know him from. So he's from Aquaman. He's from an episode of Black Mirror. He's in Us.
He is in Us. Yeah, I forgot about that.
He's Russell Thomas. Who's he in Us?
See, I haven't seen.
He's one of the evil family members.
I think so. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. He's in The Handmaid's Tale, which I just caught up on season 4.
Yeah, Greatest Showman. He's in a lot of stuff.
Baywatch.
He was in a Black Mirror episode. I'm pretty sure too.
Yeah, which one is that? He plays Omar in Black Mirror.
It was a later one.
Or sorry, no, he plays Carl in Black Mirror. Let me look it up. Because Daniel Kaluuya is in my favorite Black Mirror, and he was in that before Get Out or anything. Carl, Black Mirror. This is how I love like typing in it and seeing which. Oh, no way! Have you seen Striking Vipers?
No.
The episode with what's his name? One of my favorite actors, and I can't think of it. Hold on, Falcon. Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie, yeah.
Okay, Anthony Mackie and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II are in an episode of Black Mirror where they play best friends who play a VR video game together that's like Mortal Kombat. And one of them's a man, one of them's a woman in the video game, and they go very quickly from fighting each other in the game to each other in the video game. So in the VR world, they're like sleeping with each other, and then they get together in real life, and it's kind of like, is there something there? Is it weird that we're doing this? It's super interesting for like a Black Mirror episode. I can't recommend Black Mirror more to anybody. I mean, it's just modern day Twilight Zone with a twist. I talked to somebody the other day who was like, I didn't like the first episode. The first episode's about a politician who sleeps with a pig, and it was like based off of a real story, whatever.
Well, he was forced to, or else information was gonna be leaked that he like cheated on his wife or something.
Yeah.
It's basically if saying you have to like fuck a pig on TV or else someone to release this info about your what you did. So I personally, I remember watching the first episode and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I've seen, I think all of season 1 and 2, and that's it. I stopped after that for some reason, but yeah.
Come on, let's hang up. Have you seen San Junipero that got them their first Emmy nod?
Yeah, I saw that episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
San Junipero.
Yeah. I'll go back to it for sure.
San Junipero is essentially the same thing as Get Out. No, wait. There's another episode of Black Mirror that's very similar to Get Out. I don't think one took it from the other. But have you seen the teddy bear?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because that was.
I think I've seen that one. Yeah.
And then San Junipero is very similar to the Amazon show Upload. Very similar to that. That's another thing. I have a hard time finishing shows I love so much. I recently binge watched very quickly all of Kim's Convenience on Netflix, which is a very funny sitcom, takes place in Canada, follows a Korean family. It took me a couple weeks to watch the last episode because I didn't want to watch it. I went back and I rewatched The Good Place, Damon Lindelof. I never made it past season 2. Went back and rewatched it last year. I had like 3 episodes left and I waited a year to finish it. Recently wrapped that up. Fantastic show. And like Lost, you wonder how they're going to end it. And they ended The Good Place perfectly. I loved it. And it makes you think so much about the afterlife.
Yeah, I've seen a couple episodes of that. It's very good. I do want to watch that.
I did not care for the second season. That's where I stopped watching because it was kind of the same episode over and over again. But once you power through that, it's great. And then I also really recommend Fringe. I'm almost done with Fringe. I'm taking my time on the last few episodes. Pretty much a more newer X-Files with Joshua Jackson set in Boston. What else? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to wrap it up with what else I've been watching. Bachelor in Paradise, of course, that came back.
Your fave.
Yep. It's so boring, but I gotta watch it. White Lotus, Perfect Nine. What else? What have you been watching? Just randomly one-offs. I started Will and Grace.
Not much. Will and Grace, yeah.
Started that for the first time. I like to watch sitcoms kind of non-distractingly in the background of work, so I watched that. What else?
So I haven't been watching much TV as of late. I'd say I'm almost done with Eastbound and Down.
Nice.
I started watching that,
Nice.
which is super funny. I love Danny McBride.
Yes.
And it's funny. I watched his shows in reverse order. I started with Righteous Gemstones.
Nice. I need to watch.
Then
that.
I watched Vice Principals, and then
Yep.
now I'm watching Eastbound and Down, and they're all super funny.
Never finished Vice Principals and only watched the first Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, I think Righteous Gemstones might be his best because you can see how he's kind of matured as a writer and an actor too. And
I can't wait for his new Halloween movie.
Oh, I didn't even know. Oh, yeah, dude. Of course.
I
gotta forget. Yeah.
highly disliked the first one. Highly disliked it. The first one that him and is it David Greenberg or Jodie?
No, David Gordon Green.
David Gordon Green. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the one that came out a few years ago. I could not have cared less for it because it just I know it wanted to pay homage to it, but I just think it was a remake. It looked like a remake. Having John Carpenter do the score, I thought was very cool and an interesting play, but it just played out like the exact same original movies. Like there was nothing new to it. This new one, every time I watch the trailer, and I saw it on the big screen, finally, it looks absolutely nuts. Because the first Halloween movie, the new one, ends with them burning Michael alive in the basement of the house, and the women get out and they're driving away as the house is on fire. And then you see the teaser come out for the new one, and now you see it as a full trailer. But basically, as they're getting away, the fire department is going to put out the fire, and they're screaming, "Don't do it! Let him burn! Let him burn!" And the trailer for the new one is Michael rising out of the fire, killing the whole fire department. And basically, Jamie Lee Curtis has come out and said that the third one is going to be the final one. They're doing one more in this trilogy, in this remake, this series, this reboot. And the third one, she said, is going to be probably her last time with Halloween. She's like, it doesn't mean I died. It's just that the way we're closing it out is great. And she pretty much said the third one is just going to be like a drama. Like, it's not going to really have... It's going to be more of an aftermath movie. But she said that this movie looks so incredibly gory, and just like the kill count is just...
Well, yeah, so I love how
Slaughter.
the start of the trailer, he's already like killing firefighters and cops and shit. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I'm excited for it. I liked... That's another thing. I got to rewatch the first one for sure. It's weird because I was so hyped when it first came out. I'm like, we're getting an actual like reboot of Halloween that actually looks good and looks fitting for the series. But I liked it enough. I think I see it again. But the Halloween Kills, what I think is really cool about it, judging from the trailer, is that it looks like almost like a like you can tell that like it looks. Like it looks definitively horror, but it also looks almost like an action movie. Like it looks like Jamie Lee Curtis is like fucking what's her name from Terminator?
Ripley. Oh, sorry, Sarah Connor.
Sarah Connor, yeah, or hell, even Ripley too. She's like taking on this like badass role, and then like she's like igniting the town, getting the townspeople to rally and like mob. And I think like I just imagine this like battle of like 20 people with baseball bats and pitchforks fighting Michael and him.
Chasing.
Like,
chasing the ogre out of town. I just my only problem I'll have with this movie is the same problem with the first one. Is the first one was Michael Myers versus the town, and the problem is that they would go, "Oh, let me run home and get my axe," and then they run home and Michael gets them as they're running home. Where one of them's like, let's split up, and then two of them are walking off and one of them gets stuck on a fence and gets killed by Michael. I want, and Anthony Michael Hall's in this one too. I want this one to literally be the whole town in a line versus Michael Myers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want it to be another typical Scream horror movie where they're all band together and then one of them's like, wait, I gotta go turn the ignition box on.
Yeah.
To, you know, like that's, but
Yeah, let's all split up at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's just too like, okay, that's, you know, that's too obvious, too lazy writing in that case. But no, I'm excited for it. And but yeah, no, I mean that's an exciting one. And also, other than Eastbound and Down, going back to that, the only other show I've been watching is rewatching for like, oh my god, like the 5th time now, Breaking Bad, because I'm watching it with a friend who's never seen it. And I mean, I never get old of it. It's one of the greatest shows ever. It's fantastic in every possible way. Writing, acting, plotting, cinematography, you name it. So
yeah,
big fan. But anything else you want to say? Because you know, unless you want to start wrapping up.
Try to think of movie news and upcoming things. So I recently finished off a couple shows, watching a couple shows. Ted Lasso, man, Ted Lasso. I didn't
Gotta watch it.
Have you? I didn't have a big interest in it. It's created by Jason Sudeikis, I think, based off of like an ESPN character created in 2013 or something. It's co-created by Bill Lawrence, who made Scrubs, Cougar Town, Spin City. Scrubs is my favorite show. I could do a whole podcast episode or podcast on Scrubs. Scrubs got me to fall in love with dramedies. I think a lot of people see Scrubs as this kind of like dumb, fartsy, like, oh, my moped fell into a puddle show. There are so many episodes that I love to show people who have never seen Scrubs. My Last Night. It's my favorite episode. Season 4, episode 8. I could be lying. My Last Breath, My Last Words. I forget what it is. Anyways, it's Steak Night. It's the Steak Night episode. Scrubs is brilliant, and it made me long to make television and film like that, because it's the emotional roller coaster. In Scrubs, you have 20 minutes of laughter, and then they play a Joshua Radin's acoustic song, and you cry your eyes out in the last 2 minutes. And that dramedy was just like, it just made me fall in love with that genre of just like, how can you make people laugh and cry? And it's flipped the switch like that. And it just like, that's what I wanted to create. I love Parenthood. I'm trying to think of other dramedies. I mean, Parenthood's more a drama, but I love to laugh and cry. It's what I love to just, you know, that feeling, that emotion. And I cry at everything. I love that art. Ted Lasso is basically, there's a football team in England, and it's run by this very, very wealthy older man who winds up just cheating on his wife, getting caught in the tabloids, is this playboy, terrible person. Him and his wife get divorced. She leaves him and she gets the football club. She gets the football team, and she hires Ted Lasso, who's a football coach, actual football in America, brings him and his co-coach Coach Beard, over to England to coach soccer, and he's never coached soccer. And she brings him over to destroy it. She says, this is the one thing my husband truly loves. And I'm going to make sure that since I got it in the divorce, I'm going to make sure I ruin it for him. But Ted Lasso, I mean, it is the most sincere, heartfelt, sweet. He's just this Midwestern guy who comes over, and the team has, you know, the cocky lead guy, the Asian guy. They're the two main kind of guys. Then it has the, you know, foreign players who come in and barely speak the language and bring in their own traditions. And he just brings everybody together. And like, I mean, you know, like you write down a quote from a show and you're like, I want to tell somebody about this, or I want to try that out in a conversation. This whole entire show is that. Every time Sudeikis opens his mouth. So one of the players will come in and be like, you know, before every game, I like to take my shoes off and hang them by the telephone pole, but there's no telephone pole here. You know, back when I was in Uganda, that's what we did before every game for good luck. And Ted Lasso just every time says something like, I can't even improvise. Well, like a kid in a candy shop, I'm looking at you for this right now, and I got my eyes wide, and we're gonna make this happen. And then like the next game, the soccer player comes there, and Ted has built a telephone pole in the locker room for the guy to put his shoes on. And that's not even what happens in the show, but it's soundtrack by Marcus Mumford. It is just, I get the chills talking about it. It is just like you've never watched anything like it. I think it just got nominated for the most Emmys as well for Apple TV and
Oh yeah,
everything.
it's blowing up, which is cool.
Yeah, it's
I've always liked Jason Sudeikis a lot, so
funny. So
I'll make that
funny.
my next show to watch.
Yeah,
yeah,
I can't wait
sure.
to hear what you say. I fall asleep to it every night. My new lazy boy. I'm on the second season. It is pee your pants funny, but it's also so genuine and heartfelt and sweet. And there's a lot of issues in it, just relatable issues. It's a very, very funny show. Who else is in it? Juno Temple is in it. Yeah, I really can't recommend that enough. What else do we have? What else are we excited for that's coming up? I know you're excited for Dune, right?
I'm super interested in it. I think that I don't know. I don't really know much about Dune at all. Like,
Oh, you don't?
I think,
Yeah.
well, like the original like books or series of books. I think Frank Herbert? I forget his name. I think it is, but I'm a fan of these like super operatic, almost like sci-fi movies. So and this one almost like looks, it's like it. I mean, it does take place in the future, but it looks almost like antiquated. Like it's futury, but it also looks kind of old at the same time. So I'm super into that aesthetic, and I mean, it's a huge ensemble cast. It's this crazy sci-fi epic. So
The cast like almost has me there. I mean, if you just had Oscar Isaac, I'd be on board. The cast almost has me there, but it's still just like it does nothing for me. If I feel comfortable going to the theaters once it comes out, I will go see it in like IMAX 3D high frame rate, and I'll enjoy it that way. But it just, I don't care for the everything. I mean, I've never cared much for Star Wars, especially new ones. But it seems very Star Wars. It's like a civil war essentially in Star Wars.
whoa, which one?
Is that how you would describe Dune? It's a Star Wars-ish movie.
I don't know about
Tremors.
that. I mean, I guess in the sense of it being this like out of this world, like intergalactic kind of thing. Sure. But again, I don't know. I can't speak too much to the original source material. I don't know too much, but
Yeah.
just I guess based on this ensemble cast, just based on it being like this sci-fi epic, and also director Denis Villeneuve, who made like Sicario and Prisoners and Enemy, and also Blade Runner back in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
I love his movies. I think he's super unique director. I love the kind of like visceral and like very natural approach his movies seem to have. They feel very grounded and really just exciting movies. So I'm really excited. I'm definitely excited for that. I'd also say
I just want to point out real quick, if
Sure.
anybody's looking for a movie to watch, just it's not light. It's not an airy movie. It's not quick. It's not something you can watch and then go out to a friend's birthday party. I don't know how to describe it. Prisoners is one of probably the best movies. One of my favorite movies. It is so dark and twisted up to the last minute. The ending will just have you thinking about it for weeks and talking about it with friends. Who's in it? Terrence Howard, Jake Gyllenhaal, Hugh Jackman, Paul Dano. I mean, it should have gotten
another great cast too.
Paul Dano should have gotten nominated and won for that. The movie is, it's basically two dads go on their own quest two dads take matters into their own hands when their daughters are kidnapped and the police can't find them. And it is just a twist of a movie. And I would put it, what are your thoughts? I'd put it in the same category as Joker. I don't know if I could watch it again. It's so uncomfortable and hard to watch and disturbing. Prisoners.
Yeah.
I want to watch it again, but it's very...
It is. Oh, it's definitely uncomfortable for sure. And I don't know. It's funny you say that because I have not seen it in like years.
Me either.
Like 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
Different world then. So yeah, I don't know. I'll watch it again though. I think I'm up for watching it. Maybe going for and Free Guy too. I gotta see Free Guy.
No, I'm just trying to play with the trying to.
Oh. Okay.
What else? What else? I know we usually do the news in the beginning.
Last Night in Soho. I think that comes out later this year. That's the new shit. What's his name?
Paul Thomas Anderson.
No, who made Baby Driver and Shaun of the Dead? I'm forgetting his name completely.
Yeah.
But that movie looks dope. I saw a trailer in front of Candyman, and it just looks like a really cool, weird psychological movie where it just seems like it's a woman who is like losing her identity, or she finds that she's like becoming transforming into a different woman who's like slowly taking over her body. And it's cool because that director, who I can't think of for some reason, he's never, or Edgar Wright, that's his name.
Yep.
Edgar Wright, like obviously he's really well known for the Cornetto trilogy, making Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. So like these like super like British, a lot of British comedy, like super like over the top the comedies, and then to make something like this, I think is pretty cool. So, and I like Baby Driver enough too. So I'm very excited for that.
I'm trying to. I know I'm cheating, but there's an app called iTunes Trailers. Yeah, and it always gives you the newest movies, and you can share them to social media. So what I have on here for things that stand out to me for upcoming movies, I'm telling you, this app has everything. Malignant, the new James Wan movie. The more trailers I see, the more I'm into it. There's a new James Bond. I haven't seen the last three. I don't care too much for those. Let's see. There are have you seen the new Spider-Man trailer?
Yeah, of course.
What'd you think?
It looks cool. It's funny, and I don't. I actually haven't seen any of the new Spider-Man movies, the Tom Holland ones.
Really? I didn't finish the last one. The last one is with Jake Gyllenhaal, and it wasn't. I don't know.
It's Mysterio.
I gotta rewatch it. But this one,
I'll watch them though. I'll go back, especially for the new one.
Is essentially setting up the new Doctor Strange sequel, the new movie, I think. So obviously I'm a Marvel fan. I'm a horror fan. So I'm a fan of more Marvel horror. New Mutants was so bad. The CGI was so terrible. The villains were terrible. Don't recommend it. But the new Doctor Strange is going to be the second Marvel horror movie. And I honestly could not be more excited for it. It's Sam Raimi directed. There are some movies like Avatar, what was it? Alita, Battle Angel, where like you see it in theaters and then it's on TV and you go, yeah, I'm never going to watch this on TV. And then you go, if other people were to watch Avatar on TV, never seeing it in theaters, would they be amazed? Would they be entertained? Would they feel like they missed it in theaters? Anyway, Doctor Strange in 3D was like mind-boggling. I mean, it was so cool and amazing. I can't wait to see this new one. But this new Spider-Man, the premise is basically Peter goes to Doctor Strange and says, of every other alternate universe and turnout of everything. Can you erase everything that happened over these past few years? And then while he's doing that, I believe he winds up opening up the door to everybody from every Spider-Man movie coming back. You have the Doctor, Cyclops, the Green Goblin, everybody.
Oh, yeah, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, and
the original actor too.
There's been like reports, like people like going frame by frame and saying that they saw like maybe Sandman's in it, which is, I mean, well, we obviously know Green Goblin and Doc Ock are in it, which is cool. Like the fact that Alfred Molina literally comes in and hello, and like I obviously too the release of the trailer has just made a flood of really good memes too. Like people like. Showing like the portal that Doctor Strange can make, and then having like the landlord from Spider-Man 2 come out of it or something.
Oh, I haven't seen those. You gotta see.
Yeah, there's some funny memes about it, and like I mean the fact that they're embracing that, and the fact that we might possibly see Tobey Maguire in this, I think is a really cool feature. So
definitely Andrew Garfield, right? Maybe Tobey Maguire.
I can't even say for sure either of them, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll both be in it. But
Yeah.
I yeah, I it's funny because I do really like Spider-Man a lot, so I should probably go back and check those ones out with Tom Holland.
They're
But
fun. It's an
yeah.
interesting premise. Like I wonder who was at Marvel and was like, "Hey guys, what if we brought back some older Spider-Man characters like Doc Ops and Green Goblin, Sandman?" And then somebody was like, "What do you mean? Like you want to bring from the 2 reboots ago, you want to bring back those Spider-Man villains?" Yeah, I think it would be nice. I think it would be people, showing their kids the Spider-Man they grew up on. Yeah, okay, how are you going to bring them back? And then one person was just like, "Oh, Doctor Strange, boom, reverses time, there it is." Like how quickly you get to that of like, "Oh, Doctor Strange does this with his fingers," and all the old Spider-Man villains come back. Like, I wonder how long it took to get there in the writing process.
Oh, true.
Speaking of the new Venom movie, I cannot wait for. I mean, Woody Harrelson as Carnage versus.
It looks like a lot of fun, and
I can't wait.
still haven't seen the first one either. That's one I missed out on too, but I'm gonna watch it. So, yeah.
This one looks so great. It's just like Tom Hardy has Venom controlled somewhat. And,
Well, I think it's funny because the trailer, like, there's that one scene when like he's like in his apartment with like natural like daylight, and
Yeah.
Venom is just like talking to him, and it's like like the
he's
music.
singing.
He's
Singing a song.
It feels like a buddy, like
Yeah.
like I don't like it seems like a comedy, like in a good way too. But it's just
Yeah.
funny because like
Yeah.
you're seeing this highly rendered, really creepy CGI character just like having like a buddy conversation with Tom
Yeah.
Hardy. It's just, I thought it was kind of funny, but no, I'll definitely, that'd be a fun one to do a podcast episode on for sure. I should check the first one out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we covered a lot today. If you have anything else to talk about, but I think we definitely covered a good range of movies and shows.
God,
and,
yeah, this could be one of our longer episodes.
Oh, it is, which is funny because originally it was like, oh, maybe an hour and a half, an hour, like 2.5 hours right now. Which is cool. Which is cool.
No, this is good. Catch up. We always have a lot to catch up on. So follow us on social media. We have a Facebook, we have a Twitter, we have an Instagram. It's either the Weiliotis Podcast or Weiliotis Podcast. Type into Google WEILIOTOSTIS. You'll find our website.
Also, yeah, you can go to, at the moment, because I don't know how to do shit, you can do www.theweiliotispodcast.com, which is like an overall main directory basically for where you can find us. So it has all of our links to social, YouTube, where we obviously do video, and also every single possible podcasting stream platform I can't even think of. But obviously, the main ones, Spotify,
wherever
iTunes,
you can find your podcast. And on our website, I think we're going to start working on the website more and start adding on our Weiliotis minutes as well. We'll have a page on that. So stay tuned to our social. I mean, this episode will be up in a week. You'll have heard it already. By then it'll be anyway. But yeah, Tom and I are recording this on Tuesday. I think tomorrow we're going to do a couple teasers maybe of some of the movies we talked about. We'll do a Weiliotis minute of maybe Suicide Squad, Free Guy, Old, and then that will kind of tease people into coming to this episode. So if you watched a Weiliotis minute and now you're hearing us talk about it here, thank you for following us here. Follow us on social media. We're going to do more episodes.
Yeah, hopefully get more involved, because having all these social media platforms and whatnot is a way just to engage with more people. So if you fuck with us, awesome, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go walk this dog, and follow us on social, and also we're gonna have more guests on to talk about their movies, to talk about movies they like. We're gonna have some theme stuff. We're gonna do TV. We wanted to cover music this time. We will cover music on next episode. We're gonna start adding in music. We're going to talk about everything and everything. I remember back in the day at bookstores seeing books on like the philosophy of South Park, the philosophy of Family Guy. I think we dove into a lot of cool philosophical stuff today. So I'd like to do more of that.
It was fun.
Breaking down stuff.
Getting all, deeper into this kind of stuff and is what honestly what I kind of wanted to get into this podcast for in the first place. So
yeah.
But yeah, so check us out on where you can, and until next time, have a good one, y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.